To you. It is at 9 o'clock. It's time for a news update, and it's over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. The Foreign Affairs Minister says international sanctions against Russia will be clear and firm. It follows the Kremlin's formal recognition of two separatist regions in Ukraine as independent. Vladimir Putin last night announced he was sending troops to the two breakaway regions, describing them as peacekeepers. The EU, UK and US are working together to adopt a range of sanctions. Donegal County Council is to look at establishing a helpline for people whose homes are affected by Mica, as well as advice centres in 3 of the county's 5 municipal districts. An emergency motion signed by a representative cross-party group of 12 members was moved at last evening's reconvened council meeting by Councillor Gary Doherty. He says the damage caused by Storm Franklin at the weekend shows the perilous condition in which many people are living. He says the council must respond. The government is facing fresh calls to scrap its planned carbon tax hikes in the Dáil later. The cost of home heating fuels is to rise from May, while transport fuels will go up in price from October. The government says the increases are needed to deal with climate change. However, finance spokesperson Pierce Doherty says the money would be better in people's pockets.
For every euro that this saves a household, it's a euro in their pocket, not in the government's pocket. And that is really, really important. By proceeding with this, it means that every time you fill your oil tank with home heating oil, it's going to be another €19 that you're going to have to pay. And the same for gas, and that's not acceptable at a time when we've got record high prices.
New laws allowing excavations, exhumations and reinterment of remains at former mother and baby homes will go before Cabinet this morning. Once passed, the draft Institutional Burials Bill will be presented to survivors and relatives before being published. It's 5 years since a large number of human remains were found in a test excavation at a site in Tuam. Spokesperson for the Tuam Mother and Baby Survivor Group, Breda Murphy, says it's vital that this bill is progressed quickly.
I refer to the remains in Tuam particularly as the unburied dead, and I think recovery at this late stage is an absolute must, because our members, who are family members of the disappeared and are survivors of the home too, they are elderly, and so for matching with their loved ones, it is absolutely crucial that this is done.
After a wet and windy start, we'll see rain quickly clear eastwards with scattered showers and sunny spells, the order of the day. A chance of sleet on some higher ground in the northwest this afternoon. Drier, brighter conditions will follow in the evening with those blustery westerly winds gradually easing. It'll be chilly today with afternoon temperatures hitting 8 to 10 degrees Celsius, staying mostly dry with long clear spells early on tonight with lowest temperatures 1 to 4 degrees Celsius. That's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 10 o'clock.
Well, Davy, brilliant that you weren't in work today. We had some crack. It was Peter's last shift, so we all went out for lunch. Thanks for staying away. The lads are delighted. Chat to you soon. Mind yourself.
No one will thank you for turning up to work or anything else when you're sick. Stay at home and get a test to protect yourself and others from COVID-19. From the HSE, for us all.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning. 3 minutes past 9 on this Tuesday, the 22nd of February. How are you? I do hope you are well, and hopefully you'll stick with us for the next 3 hours. We've a busy show lined up for you, including, of course, the latest appeals and information from An Garda Síochána. We'll be speaking to a farmer who's seeking your help in tracking a large amount of livestock he's lost. We'll hear more stories of those affected by Mica and affected by the storms at the weekend. And there's that and so much more besides. We'll be previewing a conference on cancer being held in Letterkenny at the weekend. And your calls and comments, get them into us. You kept us really busy on the phones yesterday. Let's go again today. Your WhatsApps, your text to 086 60 25,000. That's to comment on what we're talking about, but to raise your own issues, to have your own conversations as well on anything, by the way. Don't say, oh, they wouldn't be interested in that because they only talk about this. It's your programme. 086 60 25,000. If you want to give us a call to 07491 25,000, and get involved if you're listening to us on your smart speaker or online around the world. Have your say in your backyard. 00353 7491 25,000. That is how you call us and chat to Caroline and get involved. You don't have to be living in the Northwest to be talking to the northwest. And if you want to watch the programme as well, hop onto our website right now, highlandradio.com. You'll see the links there for Watch the Programme. You can click in there and watch live. If you want to cast it up to your big screen, you can do that too. Or straight onto our socials, YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland. Give us a like and a subscribe there. It's really useful. The same applies for Facebook, Highland Radio News and Sport, and Highland Radio. So no excuses. Watch, listen, get involved. Okay, the Donegal People's Press this morning, they focus on the storms at the weekend. Many homes and businesses in Donegal remained without power yesterday evening, hours after the county felt the full force of Storm Franklin through Sunday night and into yesterday morning. At one stage yesterday, over 11,000 ESB customers across the county had no power. And as you heard from Donal in the news there as well, some people in the county won't have their power returned to, was it this evening, he said? Or tomorrow evening, this evening? Anyway, I'm sure he'll let me know which one it is. Needless to say, it's going to take a while to get everyone back on the grid. The Derry Journal this morning, a Mica-affected homeowner, one of many left anxious and in fear due to the impact of the recent storms, has stressed how people should not be living like this in Ireland in 2022. The ferocious storms of recent days, and in particular Storm Franklin on Sunday night and Monday, have once again placed the focus on the dangers of homes affected by defective blocks. Claire McDade told the Journal how she was in contact with many worried and stressed families over the weekend who feared parts of their homes would collapse in the strong winds. And as we learned yesterday, in fact, some of them did. Thankfully, not structurally supporting parts of houses, but the storm did rip some render and other elements of the build from the homes. And as we said we would yesterday, we took some of our interview with Sharon, who spoke to us on the programme, and others as well, tagged in the politicians who make these decisions into it. We're in no excuses territory here. God forbid if anything were to happen. History will remember the delays, how quickly we were able to move on other things and seemingly not so quickly on others. The Irish Times talks of the it's the increased risk of something happening in the Ukraine, the impact it will have on us, maybe in terms of the cost of living and what have you. Are we facing a third world war? Certainly not. But we are seeing, did you see that press conference that what was it? I don't know what it was that Vladimir Putin conducted yesterday with all his staff, asking them if they should recognise the two breakaway states to the east of Ukraine. None of them were prepared to say no, clearly, for fear of God knows what might happen to them. And as it so happens, whilst it was a decision that was made moments later, hours later, the leaders of both of those breakaway regions were actually present to sign the decree, Russia recognising them. But anyway, Moscow has recognised two breakaway regions of eastern Ukraine as independent states and is sending troops there as peacekeepers, but clearly they're not peacekeepers. You don't send peacekeepers in attack helicopters and in tanks. But his moves have drawn condemnation from Western leaders and fueling fears of a major invasion of Ukraine by Russian forces massed near its borders. And the language is interesting. He says, look, Ukraine was never an independent sovereign country. That's effectively what he said, didn't he? He's placing his forces inside Ukraine, albeit in these breakaway regions. What's to stop him then going in and taking the rest? He doesn't like the fact that Ukraine is becoming more Western, or the ties are with the West are increasing. But Russian President Vladimir Putin signed a decree on the sovereignty of the so-called People's Republic of Donetsk and Luhansk after a long and rambling televised address in which he questioned the statehood of Ukraine and said its deepening integration with the West posed a major threat to Russia's security. And of course, Russian news outlets carrying favourable footage and news stories, some of them clearly untrue, to try and influence the Russian people that he's doing the right thing, because most young Russian people do not want him invading Ukraine, whose blood will be sacrificed on the soil of Ukraine. It won't be his. The Irish Independent now, former EU Minister Phil Hogan has taken aim at the Taoiseach and Taoiseach while claiming he has been treated like a criminal since the Gulfgate controversy erupted. Mr Hogan is demanding Micheál Martin and Leo Varadkar address the outcome of a court case linked to the dinner after a judge said a lot of very good people lost very good jobs and dismissed the charges. He clearly sees himself as one of those. Clearly putting himself in the category, the paper mentioned, the ex-Fine Gael minister told the Irish Independent attendees at the Oireachtas Gulf Society event had been humiliated and treated as criminals. almost 18 months to the day since he was forced to quit his prestigious post as EU Trade Commissioner. But was he wronged? I mean, we all would hope that we get fair treatment in the courts and in our work and in society, wouldn't we? I mean, obviously, there is going to be amongst many out there just an anger with that whole Gulfgate thing, with the government in general, potentially. And there's a great deal of support, by the way, out there as well for them. But he was sacked, but he was somewhat vindicated in court. Was he treated unfairly? Legally. Now, whether anyone should have attended that event in the first place, that's a different question. Should he be compensated? He can't be returned to his post, can he? 08660 25,000. The Mail tells us that the three government leaders agreed last night to accept the advice of health chiefs on removing the legal requirement to wear face coverings. It's expected mandatory mask wearing will end from next Monday, but will remain advisory on public transport. Masks will still be required in healthcare settings. Look, masks are still being worn in many settings by the majority where they don't need to be worn. Now, I'm not sure if that's because people are cautious or if maybe there's not a full understanding of where you are actually legally obliged to wear a mask. But anyway, face covering and social distancing in schools will also come to an end. On the face of it, just thinking from the children's perspective, that is really good news. I understand there'll be people listening that think it's too soon, that it's problematic, that it's going to be unfortunate for, maybe vulnerable students or the families of the vulnerable who may find themselves being one of one or two wearing a mask. I understand that. I really do. But I understand too that broadly speaking, children aren't happy having to wear the masks, especially when everyone else is out doing their thing. Reading on here, while it's understood that the government will also accept Chief Medical Officer Dr. Tony Hullen's advice to wind NPHET down, sources told the Mail that proposals on how to restructure the team will take several weeks to work out. The CMO and his team will continue to monitor the COVID situation. Social Protection Minister Heather Humphreys says yesterday that she understands why people may feel nervous about the removal of the mask mandate, but added that it is a good day when we're in a position to talk about removing COVID-19 restrictions. And I think, it's about respecting each other too, not jeering or finger pointing at those who feel comfortable still wearing a mask and giving them space at the till or wherever. I don't think in any circumstances anyone needs someone standing up their backside waiting in a queue. But anyway, The Sun today tells us that soldiers are demanding to be allowed to join the Irish Congress of Trade Unions before new public talks get underway. This is on Pay. The recently published Commission on the Future of the Defence Forces has recommended PD Fora and RACO be allowed to join. These army groups are now demanding that Defence Minister Simon Coveney gives them the green light to join ICTU before all public bodies enter pay talks expected to start in May. Not, given the history there, seemingly an unreasonable request. And last but not least, in the actually it's not last, it's second last, penultimate. Dentists, this is in the Irish Daily Mirror, dentists have blasted a scheme that allows unlimited extractions for medical card patients, but only 2 fillings. Now, this is perhaps something we need to talk about again because it's nonsensical. You can go in and get all your teeth ripped out for free at the dentist, okay? But if you want to maintain the teeth in your head, okay, if you want to maintain your teeth in your head, you're only allowed 2 fillings. Is there any logic to that? They want us to all walk around just with no teeth, perhaps. The Irish Dental Association yesterday called for urgent reform to the practices and fee structure. They want medical cards for the scheme replaced by a new voucher system that would see patients receive credits of between €100 and €500 for a wider range of dental work. The IDA made the call amid claims dentists are threatening to quit the HSE's dental treatment service scheme because they fear the medical card scheme is on the brink of total collapse. But as I say, wouldn't it make more sense to direct funds to protect and maintain teeth rather than making it free to have them pulled out? Because people are... that tooth that I'm missing, I got it pulled because I couldn't afford to fix it. I'm sure lots of people out there have. But wouldn't it be better if you were to make the decision to get a filling because it was free rather than an extraction because it was free, if you get where I'm coming from? Very sad news from the world of sport, as many of you, particularly rally fans, would be aware. Tributes were yesterday paid to tragic rally driver. He's not tragic. What happened to him was tragic. He was far from tragic. Tributes were yesterday paid to rally driver Owen McCarthy, who was fatally injured during what he loved. The 22-year-old's car went off the road and crashed at the Killarney Forest rally in County Kerry on Sunday. Owen, from Dunmanway in County Cork was airlifted to Cork University Hospital after the one-car smash on the day's fourth stage at Mount Eagle in Castle Island. However, the promising driver who participated in his first Cork 20 rally last year succumbed to his injuries. Incredibly sad. Really, really sad for his family. And, you know, it seems that he had a bright future in front of him and perhaps would have been, if he's not already, no stranger to Donegal and our great tradition of rallying in this part of the world. May he rest in peace, and may his family and friends get all the comfort that can be given to them at this very, very difficult time. Okay, we'll be back with our first guest on the programme after we take this break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Do you currently have vacancies that need urgently filled? Have you tried various ways to find new staff but didn't succeed? Let Highland Radio help you source and fill your current vacancies in the most cost-effective way. Simply sign up to our new job spot and we will tell our listeners about your vacancies both on air and online. Every Monday, Wednesday and Friday during our primetime shows, we will broadcast the latest job opportunities across the Northwest and into counties Derry and Tyrone. All job listings will be available online at highlandradio.com. For more information, contact the advertising team on 07491 25322 or email advertising@highlandradio.com. Highland Radio, we're here for you.
The Groom's Room is now open and taking bookings for all you grooms getting married. Contact us at Evolve Clothing, Letterkenny Retail Park.
Dear Daniel, ever since you burst out of Donegal and onto the music scene, I've been your biggest fan. And when you came to visit, I could have died. And when you offered to fix my boiler, I could have died, Daniel, because you're not a registered gas installer. I'm returning all your albums and my rhinestone-studded I Love Daniel jacket. Goodbye forever, from Mary. P.S. Daniel, you can find your local registered gas installer at rgii.ie.
Teagasc will hold a tillage seminar this Wednesday night, the 23rd of February at 8 p.m. in Angrenan Hotel Burt. Speakers are Shay Phelan, Teagasc crop specialist, Stephen Robb, Irish Farmers Journal, and Gareth Devaney, Agri-Care crop specialist. Topics include winter and spring crop management, outlook for tillage, and malting barley options for Donegal growers. All welcome.
Highland Radio Time Checks, brought to you by Letterkenny Shopping Centre, the centre of shopping in Donegal. Free parking and shopping all under one roof. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
The time, 17, just turning 18 minutes past 9. Now on the programme yesterday, thanks to you listening out there, we were able to reunite, I think it was 3 cows and a calf with their owner. Let's see if we can do the same again for Jimmy, because he's lost stock on a large scale. Jimmy, how are you getting on? Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good. Right. Now, this is going back to the 9th of February. You lost 25 ewes in Moville. Did Wonder offer with you taken, Jimmy?
That we don't know, but they're disappeared now. Anyway, they were there on Tuesday night and they're gone on Wednesday evening again. So, other than that, I don't know.
And this is back to the 9th of February. It's a couple of weeks ago now.
They're missing now a fortnight now on Wednesday.
Right. Okay. So the movement of 25 ewes, if they were taken, I mean, it's not an insignificant operation. Would you expect to have seen people maybe out and about to have seen it happening?
Well, honestly, don't know. It's on a hill, and that they could be taken down from either side of it, and anything's possible. I work all the time, you see, during the day, and I wouldn't be seeing them till dark night again.
So not one of them has been seen since. So I think we can... I mean, it's probably safe to presume they've been taken. That being said, if anyone has seen their flock grow by 25 in and around the Moville area, please let us know. They have a green mark on them. Anything... I mean, that's pretty much the only way we can separate them out from others, isn't it, Jimmy?
Well, they're all tagged, but tags can be cut out very simply, but that is the main. They're a fair, good, decent green mark when they're sent to their back through there.
And there's 18 of them are breeding ewes, the rest are ewe lambs. There's quite a lot of investment you've put in there. This is quite a big hit to you financially too, Jimmy.
Yeah, it would be, yes, it is.
So,
it is,
I mean, where do you think they've ended up?
I honestly don't know. But I'm appealing to the public for keep their eyes open anyway. So other than that, Greg, I honestly don't know.
Yeah, okay. So it's 25 ewes taken Moville since the Wednesday, the 9th of February. Maybe you've seen them being loaded. Maybe you've seen them being carted away. Maybe you've spotted them around the place. People will know where you're most likely to spot them. They have a green mark on their back. They're all black face horn ewes. There's 18 of them are breeding ewes. The rest are ewe lambs. You're very keen to get them back, of course.
Yes, definitely. And a reward for anybody who's any information of the return of the sheep.
Okay. Now, we have heard stories in the past that animals like this can end up in different counties, different border counties, for example. Is that your fear, that maybe if they were taken that they're outside of Donegal now, or would you expect them to still be within the county?
I honestly don't know, but I feared that they've been shifted on a fair distance, to be quite honest with you.
If the tags Sorry, go ahead, Jimmy.
No, we have travelled a fair wee bit of countryside round looking on and off now, but and there's a lot of neighbours helping too, but we come up with nothing, to be quite honest with you.
If the tags can be cut out, pardon my ignorance on this, can new tags be put in and then presented in a mart, for example, or would it be easy to spot that the tags have been cut out?
No, you could replace the tags very, very simply. Just cut out one and put the new tag back into the same hole again. Nobody would know any difference that way now.
All right. Well, listen, maybe they did turn up somewhere. I know a lot of guys now, I want to say guys, men and women, watch a lot of these marts online. Maybe they spotted them over the course of the last couple of weeks. Maybe that's our only hope, Jimmy, unless someone knows who took them and where they are right now.
That's right. Any bit of help's very much appreciated. But as you say, people could be watching them online. They could have went through March, but I honestly don't think so. I think it's behind the scenes operation, to be quite honest.
What does that mean? What would they be used for?
Well, they could be taken away and dumped, or they could be taken away and sold in the black market type thing.
Yeah, I get under the radar.
Under the radar, more or less.
Yeah, because it's doable, but it's an operation, a professional operation, presumably, to remove tags, put them back in, have the neck then to land to a mart with them. You know what I mean? There's an extra level of organisation there.
Yes, well, there is, definitely is. Somebody knows what they're doing, that type of thing. But
okay, Jimmy, well, it's out there now. Hopefully, maybe someone knows something, someone spots something, they can get in contact with us. We'll put them in contact with you. But clearly, you're very anxious to get these back. This is part of your livelihood, and you've invested an awful lot of money and time, I'm sure, Jimmy, time after work as well, in getting these lambs and ewes to where they're at now. Listen, thank you for that. If we get anything, we'll get it on to you.
That's a perfect thing. Thanks very much.
Good man, Jimmy. I hope you're successful in this. Right, so around the Moville area, the 9th of February, 25 ewes, 18 of them breeding ewes, and the rest are ewe lambs. And they could be worth over €100 each, depending on what the story is. Maybe you're watching marts online. I know even if you're not interested in buying or selling, you may well watch them. It's become a bit of a pastime now. If you can help Jimmy in any way, get in contact with us. We'll pass it on to you. 086 60 25,000 is the text line. Hi, Greg. Farmers all know the usual suspects, well known for stealing sheep. Why don't farmers stand up to these thugs? Hi, Greg. Refill Hogan, he seems to have forgot the issue. Wasn't him attending the golf. He flew into the country, didn't isolate for 14 days and travelled freely while we were all in lockdown. Okay. Good point. Well made. Thank you. Anyone know why when the power goes off, the mobile network also goes down? Vodafone network Dunfanny are very inconvenient, says Maria. Maria, it depends where you are. If the transmitter happens to be on the same electricity network that you are, the power is cut from it. Now, I don't think the mobile phone operators have backup power at all of these sites. But if it's a widespread outage, the power to your local antennae will be cut as well, and you'll find yourself just picking up E from another one further down the road. So that's why that happens. The power is cut, and I don't think they have backup power to all of these mast sites. I would imagine in more urban built-up areas they do, but certainly not all of them. So that's the reason, because I know I've been I wouldn't say victim, hardly victim. I've had that happen myself. Okay, Shane Bracken joins us on the programme now. Shane, thanks for taking the call this morning.
No, not a problem, Greg.
We were talking yesterday and trying to get the message across both locally and nationally, the state of people's homes and the impact a storm like Storm Franklin can have on them. You know firsthand what the situation is. What happened with you?
Unfortunately, Greg, my wife and I were going to work yesterday morning. She was first to leave the house in Mallinhead, drove around the side of the house, and the corner is gone. Obviously, like a lot of vast majority of people in Inishowen and the Western Seaboard, we're all affected with Mica. Our house is deemed to have Mica. We've had it tested. We were part of the original redress scheme, and it was deemed to be demolished. We felt that it was still livable, although on Sunday night it was like something out of Amityville in terms of the wind and the elements whistling through the house. And then on a daily and weekly basis trying to heat the house, it's just a bit of a living nightmare and a bit of a joke where you're basically throwing the money in the fire.
Yeah, it's like you're heating outside air, and the outside air is blowing the heat out. It's just a constant struggle.
I can't find words. I know people saying ongoing horror and torture, but it's more than that, Greg. Like, we've 2 children. We moved back to Donegal. We moved back I'm born and bred in Mallinhead. I came back in 2008, 2009. We'd built our house to move our children back to raise them. We stayed in the locality. We stayed in Donegal, paid our taxes, pay our mortgage, and now a corner of the house is gone. I got in contact with the structural engineer who helped us with the application for the redress scheme, and he's saying it looks very dangerous. It needs to be supported, and he's saying that the inner leaf of the house could fall at any moment. Now, fall inwards, fall outwards. We've moved our bedroom, our bedroom, and our daughter's bedroom, who is also doing the lead insert presently, or doing the mocks, out, and now we're based between the living room and the kitchen, our bedrooms. So in the 21st century, 2 people gainfully employed are having to do this. I'm laughing, but you just feel like crying.
It's when you say it out loud. When you say it out loud, it sounds even more. You know it, you live it. You don't need reminding of it. But saying it out loud publicly, that effectively you are living and sleeping in 2 rooms of your house. That I'm sure the happy memories of moving in, and maybe young ones being, memories of them in there. It's all those memories there as well. But saying it out loud, it just sounds ridiculous that this was once your pride and joy, your forever home, your castle.
Yeah, well, you try and make a home, Greg, like a basic human need. And I know we talk about property and the Irish people's demand for property, but we that's our home. We as I say, I'm born in Mallinhead. I wanted to raise our children in Mallinhead, and thankfully we have. And they've had a great upbringing, great schooling, but to be under the threat constantly, and they're off now in midterm. We're thankfully out of the house, but they're in the house, and obviously the safe side of the property.
Well, what you believe to be safe.
Well,
as well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and
I mean, that's
even last night, the wind and the rain.
Yeah, picked up again.
And the Sunday night, and I'm not. That's a separate subject, Greg. I'm sure you could devote a program to that with regards to the weather warning that was issued. I have lived in Mallinhead, and we're well used to wind and rain, and we had the we had the red warning on Friday. On Sunday night was otherworldly, and I've been through various storms in Mallinhead, but just to see that in the morning, the impact that has had structurally on the house, and it's like we talk about Weetabix, the bricks being made of white, being made with very little cement in them. It's a house of sand, and when you build a sandcastle, it sits there, but once you put water on it, it disintegrates, and our house is disintegrating. I would welcome, Greg, if there's anybody from the housing department who are supposedly putting blockages and casting dispersions on the people in Donegal and the Western Seaboard and the Mica Action Group and the Martin McDermotts of this world. They are casting despair. Oh, these guys are living in these castles in Donegal. I welcome them. I will give them the Donegal welcome. Come and spend 24 hours in my house.
Okay, and I get you, and I think just the comments you made there, that was particularly attributable to, I think it was Leo Varadkar, not Councillor Martin McDermott, but I take your point, and I understand that, by the way, and where you're coming from. Also, too, this is the thing, there has to be a tipping point, Shane. You talked about the sandcastle. There comes a point where it falls. You know, I mean, there has to be homes that we're talking about now, and this is not to amplify any anxiety or fear. I couldn't do that because I know people are already worried, Shane, but there has to come a point at your house where the blocks are dust and it can't take the weight of the roof, and in some cases a concrete bison floor. There is a tipping point. It's just how far away from you are that. Who can live in that environment?
Well, just to correct you there, Greg, about Martin McDermott. Martin McDermott has been one of the core supports that we have had. Sorry, you misinterpreted me. Martin McDermott has been the voice, along with the Mica Action Group, with regards to supporting, defending, and bringing us to the table with regards to Mica in any show. So I'll just correct.
I may have misheard you. Sorry, Shane.
And then, as regards to the support and what's going to happen next, there's a storm supposedly coming again this week, Thursday, Friday. Greg, like I said to my wife on Monday morning, I think we'd be better getting a tent outside at least. We know we're in a tent, we're getting shelter. We're not concerned about a roof or a wall falling on top of us or our children. That's where we're at.
Now, in relation to your access to the old scheme, at this point, an engineer's recommending remedial work or a full demolition?
Full demolition.
Okay. And you are just in no man's land at the moment. You're one of the first, I think, to maybe be engaging with the first scheme. We don't know what's going to happen with the second scheme. You're just in this perpetual nightmare at the moment, except the thing that's changing is the house is getting worse.
By the day, Greg, by the day. Like, as I said, I know people talk about what are we going to do next? Go to Dublin, bring it to a Canadian type of halt. I will be there along with all my family who went the last time round, and certainly we want to bring this to the table. And when you see people within the government parties, TikTok messages and videos about these guys exaggerating Mica, I do want to emphasise, Greg, whether it's whether it's Minister McConnell, Joe McHugh, any of the government ministers, Darrell O'Brien, if they want to come and see the impact, I would welcome them into my home.
Okay.
I would let them come for 24 hours and see it, live it, walk in my shoes.
All right, and there's also that too. There's a big push on from government at the moment promoting remote working. At least some of the week, your home is also your office.
Yep.
So I'm
correct.
sure in terms of, and I'm not trying to, this is not to get you in any bother, of course it wouldn't, Shane, but in terms of health and safety, if any business tried to run an office that's falling around because of a storm, they'd be done for. Do you know what I mean? So how can you be expected to live and work in this house that's literally crumbling?
Yeah, well, I suppose, Greg, having a bit of a health and safety background myself, you try and risk assess, and that's what we've done. We tried to locate ourselves in the safest part of the property, especially given the experience we've had on Sunday night, Monday morning. We are going to have support and structures put in place. I had a builder out last night to have a look at it, but again, like a lot of builders, they're very busy at this moment in time, and the earliest they can get to it is Wednesday, Thursday evening. So it needs supporting. But again, the other corner of the gable is ready to go as well,
Shane,
and that's supporting a lentil.
Just finally, I mean, people will come and go. The house is safe to live in, and you obviously know your way around the place as well. I mean, for how long, honestly, do you think it is safe to live in? How long do you think you have? I mean, that you know that it's not possible that there could be a creek and then it could just go. And as I say, I'm not trying to be emotive or scare anyone. Okay, I'm just trying to ask real questions. How long do you think you have in this house before you go, right, I have to, with your partner and your wife, sorry, you have to say, we actually can't stay here anymore because it is not safe. How far down the road is that?
We've had the discussion, Greg. We are there now. Now, the issue is, where is their property? Where is their rent? Where is their support from the council, from government? We are there now because, like, what is going to happen next? God forbid that supporting wall, that corner had fallen on anyone. Hopefully you've seen the pictures. This isn't just the render. This is the bricks, and it's sand. They're like we talk about limited amounts of cement in the bricks. It's sand.
Yeah, and also the internals are further exposed to the weather now. For whatever protection the corner was given, that's gone. So it's chipping in. Nature is chipping into that property to wipe it away. Again, and now it has better access. Obviously, you'll try and do, I presume, some remedial work. But listen, Shane, I'm sorry for everything you're going through. I appreciate you. Coming on and letting people realise what the reality is. And people might not think they have it. They might not know they have it. This could affect any of us at any time in this county. That's just the bottom line, particularly if your house was built or you had an extension between, a certain times not that long ago. Shane, listen, thanks for joining us and the best wishes to you and your family.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, take care of yourself. Shane Glacken there, another reality of living in a Mica-affected home in Donegal. 086 60 25,000, that's the WhatsApp line. 086 60 25,000. Text to that number too, or call us on 074 91 25,000. A caller says, if mortgage companies aren't helping with Mica, why doesn't the government write off the people's mortgages then? When the government scheme starts, the people could pay back the government instead of the greedy banks. I don't think the government can cancel debt between a lender and the borrower. Or are you saying the government should pay that mortgage? But why should we again bail out the banks? The bank should be shouldering a significant level of this responsibility. We are going to bail them out again. And you know what? If that's what it takes, because that's what it takes, we've done it before to get these people into safe homes. But they're happy out because they just sit there rubbing their hands together whilst their portfolios are restored to full value. Phil Hogan, like the rest of our Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil politicians, thought that the COVID regulations at the time and now didn't apply to them. Golfgate was the catalyst for his movements when he was in Ireland, from being at the Cake Club and being stopped for being in his mobile phone to doing more touring around Ireland than one of John Joe Boyce's tour buses. The man was arrogant in his attitude during a pandemic. Like a lot of politicians, he deserves not a penny. Okay, and I hope you understand that as I set up and proposed a question on that issue, it is to try and generate conversation and get both sides, both views aired. Okay, back in a moment.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
I used to play football here when I was a schoolgirl. Now I'm here coaching the next generation. Being a Garda means thinking quickly, being active and loving the excitement of not knowing what's around the corner. But it also means working as part of a team, guiding young people and helping keep people safe. You'll have plenty of skills that could help you be a Garda. You might not know what they are yet, but they're there. Apply to join as a Garda trainee by the 16th of March at publicjobs.ie. On Garda Síochána, the difference is you.
Don't sleep in and miss the very latest beds and mattress offers from dfibeds.ie, Ireland's leading online bed and mattress retailer. You'll get a comfy Irish-made mattress, upholstered base and headboard from an amazing €229. Check out the full range at dfibeds.ie. Delivery free and guaranteed to you within 7 working days. DFI Beds. Sleep well, live well.
If you'd like to save on your home printing costs, switch to a cartridge-free printer. Raymond Sweeney here from Ben Sweeney Euronics to let you know that Epson EcoTank printers can save you up to 90% on the cost of ink. They're different to most printers because they use an ink tank that's easily filled with a bottle instead of using cartridges. Save money and time with an Epson EcoTank printer at Ben Sweeney Euronics Port Road, Letterkenny and the shopping centre Dunlow.
Ben Sweeney Euronics. We deliver, we install, we care.
The good times are back. The highly acclaimed Joe Dolan Show Remembering Joe is back in Letterkenny for one night only. And what a party it will be. St. Patrick's Night, Thursday, March 17th, eve of the bank holiday at the Clanry Hotel. The spectacular show starring brother Ben Dolan, nephews Adrian and Ray, niece Sandra, Karen Carroll, plus the original Joe Dolan Band will have you rocking and rolling in the aisles at the Clanry. Celebrate our national holiday in style. Tickets now available at the Clanry Hotel, 0749124 369. Remember, there's no show like a Joe show. Always a sellout. Book now.
We're joined on the programme now by Dr. Robert O'Connor, Head of Research for the Irish Cancer Society. Good morning to you, Doctor. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
It's great to have you with us. Right, now, the Relay for Life Cancer Conference takes place this Saturday, the 26th of February. It's in the Mount Errigal Hotel in Letterkenny. The theme this year is You Are Not Alone. Tell us about the conference, Robert.
Well, I suppose firstly to remember that we've been through a very difficult pandemic, and this is a great celebration of the resilience of people affected by cancer. And the Donegal Relay for Life Committee have gotten an excellent conference to talk about all of the matters that affect cancer in the Northwest this Saturday coming. And I suppose I'm one of the speakers at it, but I want to encourage as many from the community affected by cancer to come along, to register for the event, and look forward to seeing you there on the day.
Yeah, I suppose, people might feel they are alone and they might feel really put out by the pandemic due to delayed diagnoses, operations not going ahead, difficulties in accessing services. That is making people feel even more lonely at this time, I would imagine, Doctor.
I think as we go through any period of unsettlement, any sort of change in arrangements, there's always going to be unsettlement. We know that cancer has been going on in the background, and a lot of the focus has been on COVID, and rightly so, as we seek to protect our community. But that hasn't stopped cancer cases, that hasn't stopped the impact of cancer. And we've had a lot of complexity in our health system between difficulties accessing doctors, very long wait times for follow-on appointments, and challenges for those in hospital, in particular isolation. Most of us have someone in our life, maybe a partner, a parent, a sibling, that's important to us that we might bring along to these kinds of situations. And people have been very alone through all of this. So there's really a lot of challenges, and it's a complex time, I think, for most of us.
Before we talk about the conference itself, do we have to learn from whatever mistakes were made in terms of, obviously there has to be a response to a pandemic, but also it can't be beyond us, surely, to find a way to ensure that we're not leaving loads of people down the line with potentially worse outcomes because we weren't able to manage a few things at the same time.
I think what was very evident is most of us in the cancer space would have recognised that we were struggling before the pandemic came along. There were issues and challenges with access, unfilled hospital posts, consultant posts, all of which was leading to delays. Then when you add in the complexity of a pandemic with people falling very ill, with shortages in staff, etc., it has really aggravated and amplified that. And I think we need to take a long reflection now as to what's most important for us in our society, and we need to invest in our health. And invest isn't necessarily about money. We need to identify what new resources, what new staff, etc. we need to make sure that we get the kind of service that we all hope we might expect if we fall ill with a serious illness.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot going on Saturday at the Relay for Life Cancer Conference. It's taking place on Saturday the 26th, as I mentioned. It'll also be the launch of the new support programme for schools and an update on the excellent work, the leading work Letterkenny University Hospital is doing in terms of research.
And that's correct. Through the support of Relay for Life and the fantastic fundraising that the group have been undertaking now for 10 years, for a whole decade, we've been able to support some really excellent projects, and the audience will hear from those today, from Mary Grace Kelly and Janice Richmond, to really leading nurses piloting a number of new interventions in cancer care and outcome. One of those being how best to use some new medicines in the outpatient type setting. So in other words, how we can reduce the number of times that some people may need to go into hospital and how that can be done safely. And that project has kicked off. And some of your listeners will remember the previous project, which is still ongoing, which is looking at support and intervention for people after they finish cancer treatment, which can be, and you spoke about it earlier, people being lonely and being bereft. That can be a really difficult time when you get off the treadmill, as it were, of cancer treatment, and all of a sudden you're left on your own, sometimes without great supports. And they've been leading the way in identifying how best to employ supports. And the feedback from everybody involved has been hugely positive.
Yeah, there'll also be a video address from the CEO of the Irish Cancer Society, Avril Powell, a panel discussion and a yoga session. So there's a lot going on.
Really something for everybody. I'm going to talk a bit about what has happened and the improvements in cancer care and outcome over the last decade. It's been a transformative decade. But really, there's something for everybody at a meeting like this. And it's also our first get-together. I felt bad not being able to go up to Donegal. I would regularly go up for this meeting. It's kind of a highlight of my own calendar for the year. And really, it's been difficult. And I know, in particular, the Relay for Life Committee have been chomping at the bit to try and get back and try and do things and try and get that community spirit going again. And I think this is a real opportunity. It's our first venture out, as it were, in the post-pandemic world. And really, we're looking for support from the community to just bring everybody together, try and find out how everybody is, rekindle those old friendships, etc., that we all have that have built up over the years of this event.
For sure, and some will still remain extremely cautious, particularly those with or recovering or having recovered from cancer. Is this a blended conference? Can people access in person and online?
Some of the aspects of it will be recorded, will be available on the Relay for Life Facebook page, I understand, and folks can register on that if they're, if they want to come along, or they can also.
Okay, I have those details, but primarily it's an in-person conference, but highlights will be made available later for those who are a little bit nervous. Exactly. The event is free, of course. Registration for the conference, though, is essential, as you can understand, and anyone wishing to secure a place, you can email the organisers at relayforlife.donegal@gmail.com. relayforlife.donegal@gmail.com. We've got a couple of numbers here for you as well. Ina and Robert's numbers, a different Robert, but we have their numbers here if you want to call them as well. There's no point me reading them out just at this time because you might not have a pen and paper ready. It's important, isn't it, that this event now, as I say, there's an in-person aspect to it because, as you say, that sense of togetherness, community, understanding, people understanding other people in similar situations. It's a huge part of this for a lot of people.
I think it is. You really touched on what can be the crux of a big challenge for those affected by cancer. It is lonely. It is isolating. And then when you add a pandemic on top of that, it just exacerbates that, the uncertainty, the isolation, etc. And we're hoping with this meeting really to bring everybody back together and start building that community spirit and start identifying new opportunities for improving the outcome for those affected by cancer in the Northwest.
Yeah, and another thing that kind of happened was a conversation about, say, for instance, cancer patients where they just became the vulnerable. And then a debate was raging on and still does as to, just carry on with life. That's what we have to do now. The vulnerable can, take their own precautions or suffering. not division as such, but separating us out when we're talking about people listening, but it could be their mother or their sister or their daughter or their brother that we're talking about. You know what I mean? We can't lose our empathy or our support for each other, can we, Doctor?
No, we can't. And like this is not a small number. This is tens of thousands of people who, for reasons completely beyond their own control, their immune system doesn't react particularly well and doesn't make good use of vaccination, and hence they aren't afforded the protection that the rest of us are. And it could be any of us at any time. Unfortunately, you or I could get a diagnosis tomorrow and our blood cells not work properly, or we could need treatment that knocks our immune system out. It could be a loved one, etc. And there's a lot that we can do still, even as things open up, to protect people. And one of the things I think that we also forget about is that a lot more people have ongoing medical needs. So in other words, they need to go into a hospital, need to go into a GP, and anybody who's going into a hospital at the minute still requires pre-COVID testing and screening. So if you fail that, your appointment may be rescheduled for much longer in the future, and that can be a big challenge as well. So it can affect all of us, and I really challenge anybody to think about their own family or their wider community and not identify somebody important to them who might not be weak and vulnerable.
Yes, and I hope, Doctor, I haven't been guilty in focusing on the negative, because that's not what this is about either. I mean, obviously we're all acutely aware and we've all felt the negative impacts, but this is, about some progress, not in its entirety, but about the yoga, about the progress that's being made in terms of research. Our own Donald Kavanagh and Paul McClune, of course, well known as well, talking of their survivors' experience. Some advice on how people, on coping and counselling. There's a lot of positive in here. As I say, I don't want to sort of amplify the negative elements of this, because there's a lot going on here, isn't there, Robert?
I think there'll be a bit of a release. That's my expectation, that we'll all be a little bit uncomfortable in that. But as you say, there's a lot of positivity to focus on as well. There's a lot of support, a lot of resources, and if we can take people away from that isolation and recognise that they are a community, that we all exist in that space, and that we are all impacted, and we are all trying to get through things as best we can, and just talk about these challenges and identify solutions, because there are a lot of supports out there. Our support line as well is always available to anyone affected by cancer. That's 1-800-200-700, or if you go onto the cancer.ie website. So there's always support there. And the first step is identifying what people need and just, talking and coming together as a community. Donegal is fantastic in that way. You could define community almost by Donegal. It's how we react in Donegal. It's how we all come together. It's how we solve problems. And this is a great start for a new season, I think, for Donegal Relay for Life.
Indeed. And an opportunity at the very least to make those reconnect with your friends and sure make new ones too.
Absolutely.
Okay, listen, thank you very much for joining us, Doctor. I greatly appreciate it. That's Dr. Robert O'Connor, Head of Research for the Irish Cancer Society. There's another Robert O'Connor, of course, who's Chair of Relay for Life Donegal. So it gets underway at 9:15 with registration. There's activities and conversations and yoga and panel discussions and talks and advice and updates on progress as it relates to cancer research throughout the course of the morning. It culminates at 1 p.m. with the close of the conference. If you want to go along, registration is required, but the conference, of course, is free. If you want to email the organisers, it's relayforlifedonegal@gmail.com. You can call Ina on 087 99 66 096, which is a very easy to remember number, or Robert on 087 271 6344. We have that email address and those numbers here, by the way. I wouldn't expect you to be able to remember all that information. I certainly couldn't anyway. But hopefully at this point, because I keep rattling on about it, you know our telephone number.
Do you want to react to any of today's news stories? Or do you have your own issue to raise? The 9 to Noon Show phone lines are now open on 074 91 25,000 or text 086 60 25,000. The 9 till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Mortgages now available with a personalised service from your local and friendly credit union. Email mortgage@letterkennycu.ie.
What's Santa's favourite colour? I don't know. Run next door and ask him.
Falls in Lapland? Could be. Tune in this Friday to Highland Radio.
The award-winning Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Udor offers the most advanced skincare treatments for men and women, treating conditions such as acne, skin tags, rosacea and scarring. As a qualified aesthetics practitioner, Mary Ferry offers a range of anti-aging treatments including dermal fillers, thread lifts, profilo, skin boosters, microneedling and LED light therapy. Hair and makeup also available. Download the Genesis Salon app today or call 07495 325 75.
For great fuel deals, contact Gortley Sales and Hire. Large sacks and trailer loads of logs. Also briquettes, coal, kindling and gas with free delivery locally. Contact Gortley Sales and Hire in Letterkenny on 9126276.
Right now in your community, there are children and young people who may need a safe place to live. It's Tusla National Fostering Week, and we are looking for understanding and compassionate people with space in their home to become foster carers. Could you support a child or young person to stay connected with their community and help them reach their full potential? Why not join us for a Tusla Fostering Information Session? Call freephone 1-800-226-771 or visit fostering.ie for more information.
As life starts to get back to a new normal, it's time that we look after what is precious to us. Are you struggling with your hearing? Your hearing is an essential part of everyday living. Hearing is our social sense and connects you to friends and family. At Connect Hearing, we are here for you, with our clinics at Courtyard Shopping Centre, Letterkenny, and Joyce's Chiropody Clinic in Dunlow. Our centres are open Monday to Friday, where you can avail of our hearing tests, wax removal and repair services. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Thinking of a sun holiday this summer with the family? Fly to Alicante, Malaga, Faro, Mallorca and Milan with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport, you're flying.
So a wet and windy start, but rain will quickly clear eastward. Scattered showers and sunny spells will follow, with the chance of sleet on high ground in the northwest, which is where we are. Drier and brighter conditions will follow in the evening, with those blustery westerly winds gradually easing. A chilly day. Temperatures 8 to 10 degrees. Okay, that's an update on the weather so far. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp number. Right, a caller says, why are block suppliers who are responsible for the Mica homes not being made supply box and bison slabs for the rebuild of these homes? It seems they're going to get away with it without having to face any penalty, and politicians don't care. There are efforts in that regard ongoing, as far as I understand. Okay, we are going to squeeze in one more quick break before the news. Stay tuned. Donald Kavanagh's going to be along. I think it's Donald, is it? Or is it? Maybe it is. Donald's going to be along with the news, and obituary notices at 10. And then after that, Grania will be in with us. Grania will be in with us for the latest appeals and information from the Gardaí.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Mortgages now available with a personalised service from your local and friendly credit union. Email mortgage@letterkennycu.ie.
Awalia is a free mortgage arrears support service providing financial, legal and insolvency advice to help you keep your home. If you are in long-term mortgage arrears, please reach out to Awalia today. Call 0818 07 2000 or visit mabs.ie/Awalia, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Are you thinking of changing your car? Then look no further than Inishowen Credit Union for your finance. It's simple. A car loan from Inishowen Credit Union means you borrow the money to pay for your car and the car is yours. No hidden fees or balloon payments. Apply online at www.inishowencu.ie or contact us on 074 93 61017. Membership of Inishowen Credit Union is open to anyone who lives or works in the Inishowen Peninsula. Loans are subject to approval. Terms and conditions apply. Inishowen Credit Union is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
At Smith's Daleside, we offer a wide range of yo feed, rich in high-pro soya, cereals, vitamin E and selenium. Smith's Daleside, market leaders since 1865. Call us today on 074 9171 300.
Open your future by attending the Northwest Regional College Open Day. This is your opportunity to visit your local campus, to tour the fabulous facilities, sample the NWRC experience and apply for your course. Running from 12 noon each day, beginning 1st of March, Strabane campus, 2nd of March, Strand Road and Springtown campuses, and 3rd of March, Limavady and Greystone campuses. Register to attend today to win a high-spec laptop. Northwest Regional College Open Day. This is your future.
Workwear at Borderland Muff. Waterproof jackets, trousers and footwear at Borderland Muff. Men's, ladies and children's fashions at Borderland Muff. For wetsuits and workwear. For fashion and waterproofs, visit borderlandmuff.ie. Open 7 days. Borderland Muff.
June 2022. August 2022. January 2023. Is that what you're hearing when inquiring about the delivery of a new vehicle? Guess what? That's not the case at iMotors. Call in today and choose your new car with immediate delivery available across our full range of Nissan and Kia models. Drive away in your new 2022 car. Call iMotors in Letterkenny and Malin on 07491 34567.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. The Foreign Affairs Minister says international sanctions against Russia will be clear and firm. It follows the Kremlin's formal recognition of 2 separatist regions in Ukraine as independent. Vladimir Putin announced last night he was sending troops to the 2 breakaway regions, describing them as peacekeepers. The UK's assessment is that a Russian invasion of Ukraine has effectively begun, with Prime Minister Boris Johnson chairing an emergency meeting this morning. Here, Minister Simon Coveney says that while diplomacy needs to continue, Russia is clearly in breach of international law and the West must act.
You don't send peacekeepers in tanks and attack helicopters. You know, this is essentially setting the scene as a stepping stone for a military takeover of parts of Ukraine. And I think we need to call it out for what it is, and the EU needs to respond to that.
Donegal County Council is to look at establishing a helpline for people whose homes are affected by Mica, as well as advice centres in 3 of the county's 5 municipal districts. An emergency motion signed by a representative cross-party group of 12 members was moved at yesterday's reconvened council meeting by Councillor Gary Doherty. He says the damage caused by Storm Franklin at the weekend shows the perilous condition in which many people are living, and that, he says, demands a response.
There's a distinct lack of communication between Mica homeowners and Donegal County Council and indeed the Department of Housing who are facilitating the redress scheme. We need to see a system in place where homeowners can get all the questions that they have answered. Part of that could be a dedicated established Mica helpline where Mica homeowners can call a direct line to the council and have their questions answered there and then. And secondly, Mica clinics to be established in the 3 MDs which are most badly affected by Mica, Inishowen, Letterkenny and Liffordstown Order.
The ESB is seeking to restore power to several hundred homes and businesses in all parts of Donegal, with 17 outages across the county still to be tackled. In some instances, they say it could be tomorrow night before power is restored. It follows strong winds from Storm Franklin on Sunday night, just days after Storms Dudley and Eunice last week. More details available on our website, highlandradio.com, including a link to the ESB's own up-to-date power outage website. New laws allowing excavations, exhumations and reinterment of remains at former mother and baby home sites go before Cabinet this morning. Once passed, the draft institutional burials bill will be presented to survivors and relatives before it's published. It's 5 years since a large number of human remains were found in a test excavation site in Tuam. Spokesperson for the Tuam Mother and Baby Survivor Group, Breda Murphy, says it's vital that this bill progresses quickly.
I refer to the remains in Tuam particularly as the unburied dead, and I think recovery at this late stage is an absolute must, because our members who are family members of the disappeared and are survivors of the home too, they are elderly, and so for matching with their loved ones, it is absolutely crucial that this is done.
And the quality of drinking water in private supplies across the country is not as good as it should be, with E. coli found in 1 in 20 private water supplies across Ireland. No supplies in Donegal were affected. Meanwhile, trihalomethane failures were identified in 22 supplies across the country, one of them Townawilly in Donegal. The report also shows over a quarter of small private supplies serving food businesses, nursing homes, creches and B&Bs were not monitored in 2020. Noel Byrne is Programme Manager of the EPA's Office of Environmental Enforcement.
Water quality in private water supplies is not as good as it needs to be. What we've seen is that 1 in 20 private supplies were contaminated with E. coli in 2020, and it's similar levels of contamination with trihalomethanes in the group water schemes. So really, it's really not where it needs to be. And what you need to see is obviously close to 100% compliance, if not 100% compliance of what you expect.
Scattered showers and sunny spells across the region this morning. A chance of sleet on higher ground in the northwest. Drier and brighter conditions following later this evening, with those blustery westerly winds gradually easing. It'll be chilly today, with afternoon temperatures hitting 8 to 10 degrees Celsius, but that wind will keep it just feeling a bit cooler. Mostly dry with long clear spells early on, but cloud will start to build from the west later. Lowest temperatures of 1 to 4 degrees Celsius. A touch of frost possible, but temperatures will increase after midnight as southwest winds strengthen and clouds builds. Sunny spells and scattered showers tomorrow morning. More persistent rain moving across the country in the afternoon, with a further blustery day. Strong and gusty southwest winds once again. Highest afternoon temperatures tomorrow 7 to 11. Becoming cooler later in the afternoon as cooler air from the north moves over the country. And that's Island Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. Good morning. The obituary notices for this Tuesday morning, the 22nd of February. The death has occurred of James Ray, Schliefbuck, Rafo. James is reposing at his late residence. Wake private to family and friends, please. Funeral from his late residence tomorrow afternoon at 1:30, going to Rafo Presbyterian Church for 2 o'clock funeral service with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Kelly's funeral directors. House private, please, before the funeral tomorrow. The death has taken place of Declan Shields, The Court, High Park, Dublin 9, formerly of Rockhill, Port Nabla, Dunfanaghy. His remains are reposing at the home of his parents, James and Grania Shields, Rockhill. Wake today and tomorrow from 12 noon until 10 p.m. House private, please, to family and neighbours. Funeral Mass in Holy Cross Church, Dunfanaghy, on Thursday morning at 11, with burial afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. Mass can be viewed live on mcnmedia.tv. Family flowers only, please. The death has taken place of Annie Gallagher, Curran, Terman. Annie's remains are reposing at her late residence. Rosary at 10, with house private from after the rosary until 11 a.m. Funeral Mass in St Columba's Church, Terman, tomorrow at 12 noon. It can be viewed online on the St Columba's Church Terman Facebook page. Interment afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only, please. The death has taken place of Samuel Gibson, Figurt, Rafo. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral from there this afternoon at 1:30 for 2 o'clock funeral service in St Eunan's Cathedral, Rafo, followed by burial in the family plot in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Terence McClintock, funeral director. The death has occurred of Mary T. McLaughlin, Malin Road, Carndonagh, formerly of Drumnaskey, Malin Head. Funeral from her late home this morning at 10:15 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in the Church of the Sacred Heart, Carndonagh. Burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Mary Shields, née Scott, Ballywarrisky, Fanad. Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Fanavolti, this afternoon at 12 noon, with burial in the adjoining cemetery. Mass can be viewed live on St Mary's Fanavolti Facebook page. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Fanad Day Centre, care of any family member or Eamon Scott, funeral director. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
My family needs refreshing. So we're off to Centre Parks. Rediscovering the great outdoors.
Re-energising on the zip wire over the lake.
Recharging in Aquasana Spa. Refueling at Hope's American Bar and Grill. Reconnecting with each other. Centre Parks. Family refreshed.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, It's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And you're very welcome back to the programme. Just a reminder for you, if you wish to watch the show, you can go onto our website, highlandradio.com. You'll see the link and you can click in and watch it on your browser, or go straight over to YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, or Facebook Watch on your TV, or however you access Facebook. And we're on Highland Radio News and Sport. I'm on my own at the moment, but very shortly I'm going to be joined by Garda Grania Doherty from the Letterkenny Garda Station with their appeals and information. Ahead of the bingo numbers for you this morning, just to read more of your comments here. Hi, I'm at my wit's end and writing to you as a last resort. A neighbour has a dog in his front garden with no shelter, complete swamp and small. It's a housing estate, it's a collie dog. First made complaint to animal cruelty on the 20th of December. Since that, and including today, I've rang 7 times. Each time they tell me they will pass it on to a local inspector. Today I got so annoyed, I asked did the inspector have a supervisor. If their complaints are being investigated, then the inspector is clearly not up to the job. The storm that was in and the dog was still out. I've today contacted the Garda. They said their hands are tied and will try and contact the local inspector. I want to air this to prompt awareness on these inspectors doing their job. This call coming in from the east of the county. Now, which, if you are listening, let us know which organisation did you contact, please, and we can chase that up for you. On another completely unrelated topic, there are speed ramps and a zebra crossing in Manor Village, but they are too far apart. Once you get over the ramp, cars are speeding up again at the crossing. I've already witnessed a number of children almost knocked down, but the councillor refusing to do anything about it. I've been on to local councillors and still nothing has changed. So is it like a bit of a rat race between the ramps? Don't tell me that the ramps are a big distance either side of the crossing, please, because if that's the case, you actually could have accelerating cars rather than cars that are slowing down. This caller in the Manor Village says that's exactly what's happening. Are you affected by this? Have you a view on it? What's going on? Is it the right job but done wrong? Or do you believe it's effective? Maybe you think it's the best thing since sliced bread. Either way, we want to hear your voice via text or call. Families with Mica, this caller says it is time for action. Every household should take up residence in the local hotels and send the bills to the Department of Housing and Donegal County Council. But the last, I get where you're coming from, but you know, you want to stay in your home. It's your home. This whole thing is about repairing people's homes. Who's to say it would not suit the government for people to move out of these homes and say, well, you moved out of them, they can't mean that much to you. I get where you're coming from and I understand the motivation. I just think such an action might actually play into the hands of those that want to frustrate this process.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday the 22nd of February. You're playing on the brown sheet. The reference number is S17. It's game number 8. The numbers are 67, 73, 75, 79, 45, 31, 62, 2, 8, and finally 18. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Do you currently have vacancies that need urgently filled? Have you tried various ways to find new staff but didn't succeed? Let Highland Radio help you source and fill your current vacancies in the most cost-effective way. Simply sign up to our new job spot and we will tell our listeners about your vacancies both on air and online. Every Monday, Wednesday and Friday during our primetime shows, we will broadcast the latest job opportunities across the Northwest and into counties Derry and Tyrone. All job listings will be available online at highlandradio.com. For more information, contact the advertising team on 07491 25322 or email advertising@highlandradio.com. Highland Radio, we're here for you.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark-approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
Isn't it time to go exploring? To break away and feel something new? To conquer the Slieve Lee cliffs that lay at the edge of the world? To lose track of time in the National Gallery of Ireland? To witness the hidden histories of Blarney Castle? Or escape the ordinary on a cruise down the Shannon? Make a memory to share forever. Because this country of ours is filled with wonders. Keep discovering at discoverireland.ie.
Highland Radio Time Checks, brought to you by Letterkenny Shopping Centre, the centre of shopping in Donegal. Free parking and shopping all under one roof. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at
10:15. It is Tuesday, the 22nd of February, 2022, and it's time for the latest episode of the Garda Community Information Slot. We're joined in studio again this morning by Garda Grania Doherty, attached to the Letterkenny Garda Station. Good morning to you, Grania. How are you getting on?
Good morning, Greg.
And don't drop your pen anyway. That would be a disaster. All right. There's lots to get through today, so we'll start with appeals. And Gardaí keen to speak to anyone with information as it relates to an assault at Lower Main Street in Letterkenny.
Yeah, Gardaí in Letterkenny, they're investigating an assault. This happened at Lower Main Street on Sunday, the early hours of Sunday morning, the 20th of February, in and around 2:18am. So a man is believed to have been assaulted just on the Lower Main Street, the left-hand side of the road, as you travel down the street. So this man was hospitalised to receive treatment for injuries sustained, but his injuries are not believed to be life-threatening. We are investigating all the circumstances. CCTV is being viewed from a number of premises in the town. We are appealing to anybody who may have observed this assault to contact us in Letterkenny, and also particularly to anybody who had a dash cam who was in that area. A lot of taxi drivers would park, late at night in that area, and we would appeal to them or anybody who had a dash cam who may have, picked up this incident on their footage to make the footage available to Gardaí in Letterkenny. We can be contacted on 9167100 or the Garda Confidential line, either 1800 666 111. We're also interested in any sightings of a dark saloon-style car that was believed to have been at that location at the time of the incident. Again, if anybody's seen this car or believes they may have captured it in footage, to make the footage available to us.
Okay, Gardaí also investigating a burglary earlier this week.
Yeah, this is a very recent incident actually. I believe the scene's being preserved at present. So this happened between 8pm yesterday evening, Monday, February 21st, and the early hours of this morning, 2am. So this happened at a garage just on the middle road there at Ballyrain, Letterkenny. The steel doors to the garage were forced open and entry was gained. Now a number of vehicles were stolen, 3 vehicles actually, a silver Volkswagen Passat. The registration number of that vehicle is 151DL4501. A red Toyota Auris, registration number 10DL16255. And a blue Ford Fiesta, reg number 10DL16254. The blue Fiesta has since been recovered across the border. It was crashed. So a number of sets of car keys were also stolen from the property during the course of this burglary. So we're appealing to anybody who was in that area, may have observed any suspicious activity, to contact us. Anybody who may have observed any of these 3 vehicles on the road, between those hours. Any motorists who were in that area and just within the general Letterkenny area who had a dash cam, if they could make the footage available to Gardaí in Letterkenny, and we can go through the footage ourselves then.
Yeah.
So,
and we're talking obviously at least 3 perpetrators as well.
Yeah,
so
3 at least.
At least 3, of course, because 3 vehicles were taken.
Yeah.
Can you reveal, is it a commercial premises or a private property? Commercial premises?
Yeah, no, it's a garage.
Okay, right.
Garage premises, yes.
Letterkenny Gardaí can be reached on that issue 0749167 the Garda Confidential line, also 1800 666 111, just as it relates to dash cam footage. And people hear it as it relates to every appeal, but more and more people have dash cams in the car, and a picture paints 1,000 words, and it's not just the event happening itself, or it can be aftermath or leading up to it. What happens when you make that appeal? Presumably the dash cam stores the footage on the unit itself, you ask people to make that unit available, and then you guys take over and do the forensics on it in terms of the video forensics.
Yeah, because possibly a lot of people have a dash cam in their car and, you know, they're not really aware of how to work it, how to operate or retrieve footage from it, and there's no issue there whatsoever. You know, if they drop the unit itself into the station, we can go through the footage and have it returned to them then. And possibly some of these dash cams that, you know, that we appeal for them nearly now. Every incident, as you say, we're looking for dash cam footage. And a lot of the CCTV maybe that we would gather from commercial premises or houses, you know, we may get a view off the car, the offending car, but the dash cam footage can be very beneficial to us. You know, if you're facing a car, an oncoming car, you may possibly pick up, you know, faces, identities of people within the car on your dash cam footage.
Exactly. And you get maybe potentially different stages of what's happening as well. And the quicker you do it, the better, because I imagine at least with some of them, they have a certain amount of memory and that memory can purge, you know, they can record back over again. So the sooner the better. Okay, because people hear that, and I think it's more those that don't have dash cams go, well, why do they always say dash cams? But there's lots and lots of people do, and they would perhaps better understand how useful it can be to an investigation.
It can also indicate to us, you know, the direction of travel of the car, you know, what location it was picked up on the dash cam footage.
Okay, right. The theft from Sesha Park, Castlefin, which took place earlier this month.
Yeah, this relates to the theft of a 10-foot Hudson's Builders trailer. This was parked up at a house in Cheshire Park, Castlefin. So the theft of this trailer happened on Thursday, the 17th of February. This happened during daytime hours, you know, between approximately 1:05pm to 1:15pm. So the CCTV of the theft, and there's quite clear CCTV there, you know, would show a grey people carrier, perhaps a Volkswagen Charan, its partial registration number UAG. This vehicle reversed into the driveway of the house. Two men with their hoods up exit the vehicle and they attached the trailer up to the car. The driver didn't exit the vehicle at all. They then leave the property with the stolen trailer. So our appeal is to anybody who was in the Castlefin or surrounding areas on that date. They may have seen this vehicle with or without the trailer attached, or believe they may have captured it again on dashcam footage. We ask them to contact us in Letterkenny on 074 9167 100.
Now, your colleagues in Letterkenny investigating a theft from Carrigan's.
Yeah, so this happened at Main Street, Carrigan's, between Monday the 14th of February at 4:30pm and Wednesday the 16th of February at 9am. So 12 green security fencing panels were stolen from a temporary site there on the Main Street between, I believe it's a council site, it's just a temporary setup. So they were stolen between those times. So again, if anybody, you know, observed the removal of these items, you would imagine they would have to, you know, have a trailer or some sort of wagon to load them onto. If anybody observed the removal of them, or if they have any information in relation to their current whereabouts, we ask them to contact us in Letterkenny on 074 9167 100.
Okay, we'll travel now to the south of the county and appeal in Ballyshannon.
Yeah, this is a criminal damage incident. Ballyshannon Gardaí are seeking information in relation to it. It happened at Assaroe Falls there in Ballyshannon on the 19th of February. That was a Saturday, so between the hours of 7pm and 8pm. A car was parked up at an apartment. Substantial damage was caused to this car. It was keyed quite deeply into the paintwork now down one side of the car. So a male was observed running from the area between those times. So really we're appealing to anybody who may have seen the incident, you know, witnessed what happened. If anybody's seen a male on foot in the area, can offer a description of him to Gardaí. And again, anybody who had a dash cam in the area, they may have captured this male, and we're quite eager to speak to him. Gardaí in Ballyshannon may be reached on 071 985 8530.
All right, back to Letterkenny now, and an incident on Convent Road.
Yeah, most people are familiar with this building site, I would imagine. Greg, is at a primary school there in the Convent Road, and there's quite substantial work going on there at present. So on the 19th of February, we were alerted to the fact that a criminal damage incident had occurred on the site. So a New Holland tractor at the site had been smashed. The front window of the tractor was smashed in. Damage was also caused to the doors of two of the porta cabins on the site, and it's believed that this damage may have been caused between Friday the 18th of February at 5pm and Saturday the 19th of February at 10:30am. So again, we're appealing to anybody who travelled on the Convent Road who may have observed any suspicious activity between those times in or around that school to contact Gardaí in Letterkenny on 074 9167 100.
All right, and a little further south to Drumkeen now, an incident there a couple of days ago, or yesterday in fact, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, just yesterday, yeah. So a lady parked her car at Strallingford, Drumkeen. This was quite a secluded forest area. It was parked there yesterday morning between 8:30am and 9am, and the car was left unlocked. a handbag was stolen from the car with a small sum of cash and a number of documents in the bag. So we're appealing to anybody who may have parked in that area. I believe it's quite a popular area for people to park up to go for their walk. You know, anybody who observed any sort of activity that seemed a bit untoward in that area yesterday morning, if they would notify Gardaí in Letterkenny, and we can be contacted on 9167 100. And just if we could use this opportunity, and I know I sound like a broken record at this stage about cars and about security around cars, but just, you know, wherever you're locking your car or leaving your car, parked up, if you're leaving it in your own driveway, going for a walk, wherever you're leaving your car, please ensure it is always locked when unattended. Don't leave anything of any value in your car, jewellery, cash, electronics. Don't leave any items such as laptop bags, handbags within view in the car, on the seats. You know, even you may be aware that it's just a case, there's no laptop in it. You know, this people who approach your car hoping to steal from your car, they're not aware of that. The window's smashed, you know. And it's just, we urge people to be cautious. And also, if anybody ever sees any activity in or around parked cars or any sort of suspicious activity in their neighbourhood or area, we would ask them to contact us without delay.
And, you know, you do sound like a scratch record, but there's no harm in that because, you know, I think maybe we've let our guard down a little bit, maybe because, you know, we haven't been out and about as much, and now we're sort of back doing what we used to do. And unfortunately, people are doing what they used to do as well. So it's a good reminder. What's the situation as it relates to reports of home heating oil theft? So you've seen any peak in that? I mean, I know I've been contacted by numerous people who've been the victims of that, and it seems to be in one area at a time and then another area, and then I speak to them and they don't report it to Gardaí because, well, sure, what's the point? Or we know who's doing it, and then people aren't sure because you know, they think, well, then they spend money getting to check if there's a leak because they don't think it could happen to them. But I'm certainly hearing more and more of people being targeted, their home heating oil being stolen. I was chatting to actually someone who delivers it, and they also were having to return to houses because heating oil's gone. It's very valuable at the moment.
Yeah, most certainly, yeah. And actually, I checked through all incidents, you know, before each week's show. We certainly haven't seen any increase in the reports of the theft of home heating oil. And it's quite surprising, really, as you say, with the price of the oil at present, you know. But I think, as you say too, a lot of people maybe they start to doubt themselves. They notice that there's been a decrease in their oil and maybe they start doubting themselves. But anybody who has any sort of suspicions that their oil has been taken, we would urge them to contact us.
Yeah, generally speaking, it'll be tampered with. But I think too, you know, the tap of an oil tank, there's normally a little reserve at the bottom, and if they've siphoned it out, it's gone from it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Below the tap. You know, I mean, all tanks are different, I understand that, but you have to sort of look for little telltale signs that would make you trust yourself, because if this is not reported, say you're not getting reports of it, you can't maybe increase patrols in certain areas or whatever way you would respond operationally. So it is important that people report these incidents to the Gardaí.
Yeah, and back a number of weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago now, I remember we had an incident it was in the Milford district as far as I recall, and an elderly couple had realised that there was actually a drum lying in their garden in the morning, and they hadn't noticed any real decrease in their oil levels, but it was the thought maybe these, you know, the oil thefts are taking place in smaller quantities, you know, in a drum at a time, you know, so that the person in the house, the householder, may not notice that the oil's been taken. And there are a number of security measures people can take.
Don't mention your prickly
I'm not going to talk about the prickly bushes again
please.
because you'll just laugh at me. But you know, but just have good lighting around your house. Build a fence around, or keep. You know, I know a lot of people have their oil tank in a secure shed. You can build fencing around the tank. You can get locks for oil tanks.
And also there's twofold thing. There's an item you can get, and listen, this is always going to require an initial layout, a couple of €100, but you can monitor how much oil is in your tank, which is useful because you don't want it to run out and airlock your boiler. But also, if it drops rapidly, you get an alarm sent to your phone. Now, providing you know that most oil tanks would be within Wi-Fi range or what have you. Some of them have SIM cards. It's a lot of people. It's like house alarms. A lot of people spend that money once they've been robbed or once their stuff has been taken. And I can try and find out a bit more detail about those security items I've been talking about. But I think it's a worthwhile investment because they will also notify you if there's a rapid decrease in your oil levels as well, which is good for identifying leaks, if nothing else.
It is, yeah. And just when you said at the start there, it just struck me, you know, you said you'd been contacted by a number of people who have they've told you that they believe that their oil has been stolen, and then they don't report it to us. And funny, I was talking to a friend of mine during the week, and and she was telling me, did you hear such and such's oil tank was emptied? And just when I was going through the incidents then, and there was no mention of this theft on our system, so the matter hadn't been reported to us. So, we would urge people to come forward and report these matters to us. Yeah, okay. Because I think there were a particular number of instances in and around where was someone mentioned it to me, around the Ramelton area recently as well. Okay, if you're affected by that, by the way, and you want to talk about it too, obviously contact the guards, because they're the people that find people responsible for this stuff. But you can contact us too on 086 60 25,000. Right, sorry, I've delayed getting to the recruitment campaign conversation. We're going to be talking about this in more detail next Tuesday, I believe. Yeah. So, give us the highlights. Yeah, well, I know Sergeant Wallace mentioned this last week as well, so I'll just leave it brief enough, because next week they will be speaking about this in further detail. And in studio live, yeah. Next Tuesday. Okay. I had somebody lined up actually to join me here today. He's a lovely lad. He's from Poland, and he's based within the Buncrana district at the moment. So I was hoping to have him on today to talk about his experience, in relation to the recruitment campaign and the training process. But he was just unavailable today, so he will be here next Tuesday morning. So yeah, the recruitment campaign's up and running. This competition, it's open until 3 p.m. on Wednesday, March 16th. And they're seeking to attract candidates from across society and with a wide variety of skills to join up. So the slogan this year, the campaign slogan, is "The difference is you." And Ireland's changing. It's more diverse, multicultural than ever before. So this drive is focused on encouraging those who may not previously have considered training to become a Garda to now maybe consider doing so. Gardaí have been out and about, and we have added that to our Facebook page posts. They have been out, they've had information stands in some of the shopping centres. I know up around Buncrana, I've had 2 in the past few days. Gardaí from the Community Policing Unit here in Letterkenny were in the LYIT yesterday. And I've had a few queries via the Facebook page also, people wanting to know, when's this happening in our area. So I would advise them, keep a wee eye on our page, because I will post to the page a couple of days in advance of when the next stand is where it's going to be and what times, it's going to take place between. We would ask people, if they have any queries in relation to the recruitment campaign, don't be afraid to call to your local Garda station either. We'll assist any way we can, People may apply for the recruitment campaign. You may apply via publicjobs.ie. At www.garda.ie, actually, there's a frequently asked questions section and a lot of information in relation to this campaign. So we'd advise people to check out there also if they have any additional questions. All right, okay. When's the new uniform being delivered? It's coming out, I believe, within the next few weeks. Are you excited? It's been rolled out. You're old school, aren't you? You're old school. I have to say, I like my shirt and tie now, but we'll give it a go. Right, I think it's going to be a lot more practical, maybe, for the members on the ground. Yeah, so, for sure. So certainly we'll give it a go. Okay, listen, thank you as always, Grania. I really appreciate it. That was Garda Grania Doherty there, attached to the Letterkenny Garda station, and that was the Community Garda information slot on this Tuesday, the 22nd of February. That item returns for you a little later on. No, it returns for you next Tuesday after the 10 o'clock news. And if you missed anything, you're able to watch it back on our Facebook page a little later on, and also on the Donegal Garda Facebook page as well. Back after the break.
The Community Garda information is brought to you in association with Northwest Alarm Systems, incorporating Third Eye Fire and Safety. It's now your one-stop shop for security, fire alarm systems and fire training. Visit our website for more or call 074 97 21687.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
Nutrius XL Yo with Lamb and Nutrius Yo with Lamb Crunch are both formulated to ensure a vigorous lamb and excellent milk yield. Avail of our lambing season offer: 25 kg bags, buy 10 get 1 free, and €10 off per tonne in bulk. Available at your local Homeland store. Offer until March 31st. Visit nutrius.ie for full nutritional information.
The Northwest Independent Clinic is now Kingsbridge Private Hospital. Yes, we have arrived in Ballykelly, and if you need treatment or surgery, there is no need to wait. At Kingsbridge Private Hospital Northwest, you will have access to over 300 consultants and hundreds of treatments and services. We are approved by all major insurance companies, and self-pay options are available. In fact, treatment could cost less than you think. And with guaranteed 5-star care from treatment right through to your personalised recovery plan, we will be with you every step of the way. So why wait? Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com today.
Save up to 25% on your shopping at Kelly Centre in Letterkenny. In store, you'll find a huge range of great tasting, own brand products, fresh produce, including fresh meat and frozen foods, along with all your day-to-day needs. Say yes to savings every day at Kelly Centre, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Century Complex is the perfect family day out. Kids will love exploring Century Play. There's lots of tasty options available at Backstage Bar and Grill. And at Century Cinemas, we're showing entertaining kids movies, rom-coms, actions, adventure movies, dramas and more. Call us on 074 9121 or visit centurycinemas.ie.
Once there was a boy called Adam who sent a hog to some incredible places. This St. Patrick's Day, An Post and Adam King need your help to send 100,000 hogs across the world.
K's Mila Hog.
Get a free hog postcard with any purchase at your post office or onpost.com. And when you send it, we'll make a donation to Children's Health Foundation and Cork University Hospital Charity. Send Cade Mila Hogs. Send joy. Send love. An Post. For your world.
All right, you're very welcome back to the programme. Right, some of your comments here. Gardaí wait too long in most cases to ask for dash cam footage. Most dash cams would have small SD cards and footage would be overwritten in a few days, so lost forever indeed, of course. But if the incident is serious, it's carried as a news item at any stage during the week. Obviously, every incident could not be highlighted as a... as an individual story. But obviously in the case of the incident, they were appealing, some of the incidents they were appealing for dashcam footage today. I take your point, and I made that point myself as well, so me and you were on the same page. Greg, I locked my car to go for a walk in the Diamond in Rafo last Wednesday between 11 and 12 to come back to a lovely wee dent on my car door. Is there anything worse? I think all of us at some point or other have had that happen to us, haven't we? I don't know what goes through people's minds that they just... it's hard to imagine they don't know it's happened. But to leave other people with that mess to deal with, it's a pain. How come you never have anyone on from the ESB to explain why they're not fit to take care of the grid? Every time we have a storm, we have power cuts. In this day and age, they seem to be living in the dark ages, pardon the pun. Well, I mean, I think actually, really, we don't do too bad in Donegal compared to... I mean, the last storm, Franklin, was... I don't think you could... For an overground network, there's not an awful lot else you could do, especially with old trees coming down. The ESB aren't responsible for their trees, and I don't think they have the mandate to go and cut other people's trees down. So a lot of what's happening, a lot of the problems being reported are caused by falling trees that are on landowners' property that come down and take down the wires. So I think we'd need to talk about that conversation more broadly than presuming the ESB are putting up dodgy poles that are falling down. That's not what's happening here. It's other things outside of the ESB's control that's taking down the power lines in a lot of cases. Why does the Northwest not have some cancer services that the rest of the country has? Well, that's something that's been debated and discussed on this programme for a long, long time. Lots of campaign groups, Betty Holmes and all those others tirelessly fighting for equality for people of the Northwest. A lot of progress has been made through those campaigns, but still a lot of work that has to be done. All right, let's take a piece of music now from Green Day. All right, that's Green Day there. We're joined on the telephone line now by Minister of State for Trade Promotion, Digital and Company Regulation, Deputy Robert Troy. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks for having me on.
It's nice to have you on. Now, we have, as I presume most radio stations have, discussed to a great extent the cost of insurance. What is the progress on government bills to address this issue?
Well, look, the government have been making steady progress in relation to the whole area of insurance reform. If you look back over the last 12 months, we have introduced the personal injury guidelines, which are now being implemented across the litigation system and indeed through PIAB. We have introduced perjury on the statute books, which make it an offence to lie in court. We have introduced and opened the office for competition to bring
just in relation to that, what are you doing though to actually get these cases in court? Because a lot of the problems that are there are that insurance companies aren't pursuing claims; they just pay out, and sometimes the person who ends up paying for that isn't told until after the fact. So we would have heard from Oireachtas committee meetings in the past that insurance companies aren't contesting some of these claims. Can you, or is there anything within this bill that encourages them to do so?
Well, this specific bill that we're talking about now is in relation to the reform of the Personal Injuries Assessment Board. PIAB was established back in 2004, and its aim at that stage was to deal with legitimate insurance claims in a timely and a cost-effective manner. And it did make real progress and a real impact during the initial years of it in operation. Unfortunately, over the last number of years, less and less cases were going through PIAB, and we wanted to, and there was a realisation then that PIAB needed to be enhanced and its powers strengthened, and that's what this bill is about. And if you look at some of the reasons why claims weren't progressed through PIAB, and they're going to be addressed in this bill, any claim wholly of a psychological nature, what previously could be dealt with through PIAB, when this bill is enacted, they will be able to be dealt through PIAB. Claims where the injury had yet to settle, again, couldn't be dealt with through PIAB. When this bill is enacted, they will be able to be dealt with through PIAB. We're introducing mediation for the first time, and mediation will be mirrored on, I suppose, a well-established practice like the mediation system through the WRC or the mediation system through the PTRB, which will give the two sides of the argument, so to speak, an opportunity to come in a non-adversarial manner and to discuss a potential insurance claim.
Okay, so what do you believe the positive impact of this will be?
Well, what we want to see is we want to see more legitimate claims being dealt with through PIAB than what are being dealt with currently. In the last 2 years, the Central Bank has published 2 reports, and both of those reports have claimed or have proven quite clearly that the costs associated with dealing with having a case dealt with through PIAB in comparison with having a case going through the litigation system are stark. The legal costs of going through litigation are 15 times the legal costs of going through the Personal Injuries Assessment Board. And the crucial part here is the compensation is largely the same. So what people are having to endure is having their claims being taken longer to be dealt with and ultimately more costly from a legal perspective, and their compensation at the end of the day would have been largely the same. And the compensation, since the new personal injury guidelines have been introduced, going forward, compensation payouts, there will be a consistency in terms of the compensation that has been paid out, whether you go down through the legal route or whether you go through PIAB. So what we are going to be doing is encouraging more people to have their legitimate claims dealt with through PIAB, because by doing so, you're going to have your claims dealt with faster.
So you talk about the claims will still be the same. So we read the stories of, very sadly, a child's on a piece of play equipment and they fall off and they scrape their knee and they're psychologically affected by it, and they get a payout for €68,000. You're saying this new bill means that will continue?
No, well, what I've said quite clearly is the personal injury guidelines have been updated. They were published last April, and they came into effect last May. And those personal injury guidelines have seen, in some cases, claims awards reducing by 64%, and some other claims of a more serious nature decreasing by 36%. So the awards that are being paid out have been reduced thanks to the personal injury guidelines. What I'm saying is, now that we have those personal injury guidelines in place, there is a clear guideline in terms of what the judges can pay out, but that guideline will also apply to the Personal Injuries Assessment Board. The big difference is in terms of the legal fees associated with going through litigation in comparison to the legal fees going through the personal
and the time, of course, as you mentioned,
and the time.
I mean, obviously, there's many businesses in this part of the world, and I'm sure it's the same everywhere else, that difficulties in getting insurance has damaged business or shut them down. Many have just simply exited certain businesses because they can't get insurance, either because it's too expensive or there's no one in the market in Ireland available to provide that, probably because it's such a small pool and the payouts are so high. If I'm not conflating issues, what impact might it have on the future of insurance delivery in this country, if any?
Well, what we want to see happening is if more claims are dealt with through PIAB, as I said, the legal fees associated with SAME are 15 times less than what they are going through litigation. Less legal fees means less of a burden on the insurance companies, meaning they can afford to drop their premiums. We have already established a new office for competition within the Department of Finance to bring in greater competition in the market. Insurance companies have always been saying the reasons why they're charging high insurance in Ireland is, 1, because of the high compensation payouts, 2, because of the high legal fees, and 3, because of the lack of competition. Well, the high awards have been addressed through the personal injury guidelines, as I said, which came into effect last May. The high legal fees are going to be addressed through this new enhanced Personal Injuries Assessment Board, and we have opened an office to establish and to attract in greater competition into the market. There now is an onus and a responsibility on these insurance companies to drop their premiums. And we have seen some small progress in this area. Last year, according to the CSO figures, insurance premiums for motor insurance fell between 7 and 8%. Similarly, the year before, we want to see greater reductions, and that's what we're working towards. Minister Fleming, Minister of State in the Department of Finance, and Minister Pascal Donoghue has been meeting with the CEOs of the insurance companies and making them aware of the expectation government has on them. Government has honoured our commitment in relation to introducing the necessary reforms. The insurance companies now have to follow suit. And the one point you made, and which I wish to touch on, is in the whole area of fraud. And we want to see insurance companies tackling potential fraudulent claims. We know a number of years ago, CEOs of insurance companies appeared before an Oireachtas committee and gave a very lukewarm answer in relation to how to tackle fraud. When pressed at that committee, they indicated that they had only challenged somewhere in the region of 7 or 8 cases. It certainly was in single-digit figures. We now have established a dedicated office within Gardaí to tackle insurance fraud, and it's now a responsibility on the government, on the insurance companies, to engage with the policyholder, and where there is any suspicion or suspect that fraud is to be carried out, there is a responsibility on them to challenge it.
Before I let you go, you are a member of government, so interested in your views. Phil Hogan has said he might seek compensation from the EU Commission over his Golfgate resignation. The former European Commissioner also revealed that he took refuge in Portugal for 6 months after the controversy affected him such. Have you sympathy for Phil Hogan?
That's totally and exclusively a matter for Phil Hogan.
No, it's not. It's not a matter for Phil Hogan. Do you have sympathy for him? That's within your gift to have sympathy for him or not.
You asked me in relation to whether he was going to potentially.
No, I asked you, do you have sympathy for him?
I have sympathy for all the people who were at that event in Clifton a number of.
And in flying in for it and travelling across the country for it, you have sympathy for him in that too?
What I said is I have sympathy for the consequences that a number of people had to deal with as the fallout of that event, a number of people, my own colleague, Deputy Cleary, lost his position at the cabinet table. He resigned because he felt it was inappropriate for him to be in attendance, despite the fact that it's now known that from a legal perspective it wasn't, but he felt from a moral perspective so many other people had made so many sacrifices that it gave the wrong signal for him to be there. He has said that on a number of occasions, and personally I would love to see my colleague Deputy Cleary resume his position at the cabinet table at some stage into the future. Whether Phil Hogan decides to challenge the Commission, and the Commission is an independent body, totally exclusive from the Irish government, removed from the Irish government, whether Phil Hogan intends to seek compensation from the Commission, ultimately that's his decision, and that's the point I was making.
Thank you very much for that. That's Robert Troy, Minister of State for Trade, Promotion, Digital and Company Regulation, talking on about insurance reform and his sympathy for Phil Hogan and others. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts to that number, or 07491 25,000 if you want to give Caroline a call. She's a friendly soul. She'd be glad to speak to you.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Mortgages now available with a personalised service from your local and friendly credit union. Email mortgage@letterkennycu.ie.
All ready for next year? Why not make sure of it with SEAT? Trade up to a 221 SEAT SUV and you'll be offered PCP finance from 1.9% and a 3-year service plan for just $9.99 a month. With the bold new Arona, the stylish new Ateca, or the outstanding 7-seater Tarraco, we're all ready. Are you? Trade up to your 221 SEAT SUV at DMG Motors, Clough Road, Donegal Town. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland, trading as SEAT Financial Services. Subject to lending criteria. Terms and conditions apply. Visit seat.ie/221 for further information.
At Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, we are now operating out of one new state-of-the-art showroom in Donegal Town. And we invite you to visit our new 5,000 square foot Donegal Town showroom to discover the latest eye-catching designs. Remember, at Cherrymore, you're dealing directly with the manufacturer, which means high-quality kitchens at factory prices. Start planning your dream kitchen or bedroom by calling Cherrymore on 074 9725 822. Cherrymore, 25 years delivering value, quality and service all over Ireland.
Hi, Hugo Duncan here, and I'm bringing you my classic country show to the Millennium Forum, Derry, on Thursday the 24th of February. I'll be joined there by my good friends Susan McCann, Tony Allen, John McNichol, Niamh Lynn, Crawford Bell and Trina Allen. Tickets from the Theatre Box office and online.
At Hickey, Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey, Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey, Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey, Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Ireland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Ronaldo, De Bruyne, Cavani. You can now see both Manchester teams in action with Ryanair's twice weekly service to Manchester. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
A wet and windy start, but rain clearing quickly eastwards. Scattered showers and sunny spells to follow with a chance of sleet on high ground. Drier and brighter conditions will follow in the evening with blustery westerly winds gradually easing. A chilly day. Temperatures 8 to 10 degrees, but I suspect it's going to feel colder than that. We're joined in studio now by Donnan Harvey, who is from the Cathedral Quarter Project. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much, Craig.
Right, now the launch of the Letterkenny 2040 document will take place in Dillon's Hotel this coming Thursday, the 24th. Your interest in particular, I'm sure, is in all of Letterkenny, but you're going to have a particular focus, no doubt, on the Cathedral Quarter in Letterkenny. A lot of progress has already been made over the years.
Yeah, I suppose under the URDF grant that the council were successful in, a part of that application was the enhancement of the Cathedral Quarter area, or a greater Cathedral Quarter area as such, I suppose, stretching from the Market Square, going over as far as Spears Lane. And our committee sat down last year, I suppose, on Zoom, like everybody else, and we kept things going. And we decided, you know what, how we wanted to have a vision of what the area could become. And I suppose the document that we're launching, and it was with the support of Stephen Barrett, who was formerly with DLDC and he's now with the International Fund of Ireland. So he helped us to put together this this glossy document. Anyway.
Is it trying to get the balance right between, you know, in encouraging, you know, modern vibrancy, but at the same time harnessing and keeping the links to, you know, the tradition?
Yeah, it's very much so that we see that the heritage, and it's an asset, and I suppose the overall aim of the project was to create like a sort of an old quarter in the heart of Letterkenny, and this is very much that, you know, this is how we see it developing anyway, and thankfully that the local authority has been very much behind our plans, and we've had great connections with Ewan Quinn and Sinead Macaulay as well. Like, so it's been a very we got great support from the council in that respect.
You know, and there's a brilliant retail offering in Letterkenny and other offerings, okay, and it's fantastic, and visitors avail of that. But there's a lot of visitors, if not all, say for instance in terms of tourism, and people from here who travel elsewhere will know they want to get a sense of the history. And that's how connections, that's how people return, because it's the history of it, not shops, brilliant shops that you can see absolutely everywhere. It's about what's unique to a certain area.
Yeah, and I suppose like one of the spurs to action from the project from the very beginning was that Letterkenny got a bad review from The Lonely Planet, saying that the town was a town without a soul, which was very harsh at the time, and we wanted to prove them wrong, and as what you said, it's fine stuff that is very unique to Letterkenny, and that's what we've been promoting in a way, and anybody who comes wants, like tourists, is again, like I always say that whenever we go abroad, we always try and seek out the old part of the town, places that are a wee bit quieter, but you know, they're that relaxed atmosphere. And I think that we have it here in the cathedral.
Right, so what do you want from the public? Is the Cathedral Court of Letterkenny, is it sort of like a consultation of it itself, or is it how it can grow and how it sits within the town? What do you want from the public?
Well, I suppose we're hoping that they can come along on Thursday night and see the document, and you know, I suppose it's very aspirational and what we've set out, but seeing of how we think that there's something within the document for everyone, you know, be it in the artistic community, or you know, like or program of events, or be it something that's a bit more long term, like the idea of this kind of artisan hub, you know. So there'll be something in the document for everyone, and it's the idea that if they come along on the night, then, you know, maybe they'll want to get involved with the project, so in whatever sphere that they can.
And it's a detailed document, isn't it? It sets out a series of objectives, you know, visions, not only just visions, but options.
Yeah,
as you've kind of been outlining already.
Yeah, it is a very detailed, you know, and again, look, there's things in it that we necessarily look at. There's greater powers that would have the final say on that there. But you know, like, we think that it's very worthwhile, and that they would that they'll, you know, that we the influence that we could have over the decision making, that you know, that they're getting community buy-in, and so like already that I said, like by working together with the local authority, you know, it has produced good results.
Yeah, it's on the map now. You know, it's not just the aspirations of a small few. It's accepted to be something that is positive, that money's being spent on. There's a future in, which is very encouraging.
Yeah, very much so. That you know, and again, we always think that this model could be used elsewhere, and hope that you know, it can inspire other communities.
This briefing document, is it broadly available? I have a copy of it in my hand now, or is it really get in there on Thursday?
Get in there on
explained to you.
Get in there on Thursday, and we'll hope then. And then, as I said, once the document itself is launched, then we can have I suppose a greater dialogue on the issue anyway.
All right, good. It's all progress in the right direction. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks very much, Greg.
All right, anything else you want to add before we wrap up? Are you happy enough? I'll recap where it is and how people will...
Yeah, just that hopefully, as I said, people can come along on the day, and well, hopefully that we can keep up the progress anyway, and keep on doing what
And
we're
just
doing.
one thing that isn't in my sheet here is the time. It's in the launch of the Letterkenny 2040 document taking place in Dillon's Hotel Thursday night. At what time?
8 p.m.
8 p.m. Listen, brilliant stuff.
Thanks very much,
Good
Greg.
to see you. Good to have you back in studio as well. Okay, that's Donnon Harvey there from the Cathedral Quarter Project. Okay, you are tuned to the 9 till noon show on your number one local radio station. This is Highland Radio. A busy hour on the way. Stay right where you are. In the meantime, here's the latest news from Donald Kavanagh. Good morning, Donald.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. The Foreign Affairs Minister says Russia is guilty of a blatant breach of international law. Vladimir Putin has sent troops into 2 breakaway regions in eastern Ukraine after recognising them as independent states. The EU, US and UK are preparing to impose sanctions on Russia later today. The Health Minister says the length of hospital waiting lists is unacceptable. A €350 million plan to tackle waiting lists this year is to be published later this week. Currently, almost 18,000 people have been waiting for inpatient procedures for more than 12 months. 155,000 have been on outpatient waiting lists for more than 18 months. Minister Stephen Donnelly says the 2022 plan is ambitious. Gardaí and Letterkenny are investigating a serious assault in the Lower Main Street area. In the early hours of Sunday morning, a man was hospitalised for injuries received in the attack at around 18 minutes past 2 in the morning. His injuries are not life-threatening. Gardaí said they're particularly anxious to trace the movements of a dark-coloured saloon car which was in the area at the time. 3 cars have been stolen from a commercial garage in Ballyrain, Letterkenny during an overnight break-in. A Garda investigation is now underway. The area has been preserved. One of the 3 cars, a blue Ford Fiesta, was later found crashed across the border. More details available on our website, highlandradio.com. Donegal County Council is to look at establishing a helpline for people whose homes are affected by Mica, as well as advice centres in 3 of the county's 5 municipal districts. An emergency motion signed by a representative cross-party group of 12 councillors was moved at yesterday's reconvened council meeting by Councillor Gary Doherty. He says the damage caused by Storm Franklin at the weekend shows the perilous condition in which many people are living. He also said there is a communications deficit in the Mica situation between people and the council, and he says that must be addressed. The ESB is seeking to restore power to several hundred homes and businesses across Donegal. 17 outages still to be tackled in some instances. The ESB says it could be tomorrow night before power is fully restored. And Northern Ireland could soon see the introduction of a ban on cheap alcohol. A new public consultation on the subject has been launched today by Health Minister Robin Swan. Minimum unit pricing came into effect in the Republic last month. Minister Swan says the aim is to reduce alcohol consumption in Northern Ireland by 5.7%. And we're back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Donald. Back with our next guest after the break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Sheridan Security, now introducing zero-wire smart alarm systems. Zero wire, zero mess, and a real peace of mind. With a simple press of a button, your alarm can be set or unset, or download the free app and control it from your phone. Call us today on 074 912 6025 and get your alarm from €299. Stay local, stay safe, and protect what you value most with Sheridan Security Systems.
For all your health and beauty needs, you can always rely on McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny. If you need a prescription, just call or order online at mcgees.ie and it will be ready for you in advance before you arrive. For beauty and skin care, there's all the big names at great prices in store and online. And for your photo printing needs, simply download the McGee's Photo Prints app or click on the website link. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For all your health and beauty needs, and so much more. Call 91-21409 or visit mcgees.ie.
Is the appearance of your staff important to your business? It's the first point of contact for customers when entering your premises. At C&M Embroidery in Letterkenny, they have a huge range of clothing covering all areas of the workplace. It's widely known that customers warm to and trust employees that present themselves well. Have your company name embroidered or printed on all your work uniforms. Contact C&M Embroidery on 07491 28097 and get your staff looking their best.
All your hopes, all your dreams, all your ambition, all your hard work.
All your goals and determination, all your late nights and coffee breaks, all lead you to one place, Allstate, where career opportunities are endless. Have it all at Allstate. Search allstateni.com today.
Enjoy your bath.
I will. Now.
Lovely. What's that splashing?
Oh no, Desi! Something's leaking! Oh, there's water everywhere. There's a pipe leaking through the ceiling.
With Allianz Home Insurance, you get emergency home assistance at no extra cost. So when those unexpected moments happen, we'll be here to help. Visit allianz.ie for a quote and get 20% off your home insurance. Allianz PLC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Standard acceptance criteria, policy conditions and minimum premium apply.
And you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Now, An Garda Síochána have released information of a joint agency task force, a cross-border operation which took place yesterday. It focused on Cavan, Monaghan, Louth, Sligo, Leitrim, but also there's some activity in Donegal. The District Drugs Unit, supported by Customs, recovered a quantity of suspected to be cocaine and cannabis. This following a search of a property in the Buncrana district. Gardaí and Letterkenny focused on street dealing in the town, with a number of detections made in respect of possession of illegal drugs for personal use. So there was activity in the Buncrana district with drugs and cannabis and cocaine seized suspected. And as it relates to street dealing in Letterkenny, there was an operation. I don't know if you saw what was going on or what have you, but they say a number of detections were made in respect of possession of illegal drugs for personal use. And also speaking to someone involved in, I don't know, I won't say for fear of identifying them with them, but someone with access to public late at night, not a guard, concerned at a particular problem of a certain drugs use in Letterkenny, one that can be created using stuff that you can buy regularly. I don't want to be putting any ideas in anyone's head, but it's being used quite extensively in Letterkenny. That was their view. I'm not saying only Letterkenny, so if you're from Letterkenny, please don't think that I'm trying to blacken the town's name or anything like that there. But if anyone out there wants to talk about that, if there's a particular concern, if it's outside across the whole region, get in touch. 08660 25,000. We're joined by Freddie now. Hiya, Freddie. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you, Freddie?
I was a wee bit offended yesterday whenever I went to buy, shall we say, just we were talking about a packet of sulfidine.
Mm-hmm. Now, what happened?
Well, normally I would buy a packet of sulfidine maybe once every 4 months. For maybe take 2 every week there for after a bottle of wine the next day. But what was offensive yesterday was I went into the actual chemist. I'd asked for a packet of sulfidine. The young girl serving the counter, the first thing she asked me was, what does it need this sulfidine for?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what was my condition? Why does it need them?
Okay, and
that's very offended.
Right, and why? Is it because she was asking about your private medical business, or maybe other people could hear the question and perhaps your response? What offended you, Freddie?
There was other people at the counter. Now, I bought these things before, and I do realise they have to actually inform you that they can be addictive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I don't take offence to that, because all they're going to say to you is, do you realise if you take these any more than 4 days or 5 days that they can actually end up being addictive? No problem with that. But it was being grumbled about what was I going to take the medication for. Now, I would take sulfidine because you can buy them over the counter. I know that they're trying to inform people about it, but in my opinion, if they're addictive, they shouldn't be selling them anyway.
Right, okay. But what if this person who maybe was looking out for you, Freddie, had taken to one side where it was a bit more private and asked you the question there for fear that maybe, let's just say, you didn't have family around you and you had developed an addiction to sulfidine, and maybe they were just doing a check on you, that maybe you might say, well, I'm taking them because I have to take them. If that person was sort of took you to one side so they couldn't hear, and the question was for your care and just to make sure everything's all right, would that still have offended you?
Yes, because that's the way the question was put.
Right.
It was basically, I do understand that if I was asking a question, I wouldn't first of all ask it in front of anyone. If I was addicted to them, I would take very high offence, and maybe it wouldn't bother me, but I was that annoyed about it that I kept them, and I drove home. And last night I thought to myself, why do they actually ask you these questions? Why did they do it in front of people? And now on my way back to Letterkenny, they actually tell them keep their tablets.
You're going to go and look for a refund?
Oh, yes, because, you know what I mean? I don't know, if somebody just said to me, these here can end up being addicted, you can get addicted to them. No problem. Everybody would be told the same thing. But it was a fact for the first time in my life, and I'm a pensioner, I'm not going to say an old pensioner, but, quite a young pensioner. But to be told, rather than actually informed, to be told that, do you realise you're not supposed to be taking these? That's
I get you.
Boiled down to.
Is it a case, and I don't want to sound patronising though, but to go back and get the money back, is it possible that maybe they were a new person, they hadn't been trained, they thought they were doing the right thing? Is it worth, now that you've got it off your chest, Freddie, to the tens of thousands listening, is it worth going back and looking for a refund, or is this something that you feel very passionate about?
Well, I feel passionate about it because it was the same chemist that this happened to me twice in.
Right, okay.
And one was by the actual chemist himself.
Okay.
But he questioned me up and down until I actually did get offended and told him to keep the medication. Now, I decided I actually rang the manager, and I said, you really need to get the people trained to do this. Just inform them that they're not, they can be addictive.
Yes,
now,
I guess you.
I don't have an issue with that. It's just, in my opinion, if something can be addictive, they shouldn't be selling it. It should be only by the doctor's prescription.
Right, okay. So make up your mind, if it shouldn't be sold, if it's addictive, it comes with verbal warnings, don't sell it over the counter.
Exactly. They shouldn't be selling it like that over the counter. I will be honest with you. I was given Sulfadol by my doctor. You have to get it by prescription because I had a very bad back. They only took 2 of those tablets and it suited the purpose. Now I have a full box of them sitting in the house. They actually enticed me to take sleeping tablets, and I said, no, I wouldn't touch them.
Right. Now, it's clear, Freddie, that you are very much in control of the situation here, right? That you know what you need sulfadine for, you know when to take them, and you know not to take them regularly. Again, is it possible, Freddie, that another person who's not just quite as on top of everything as you are, that maybe had a niggling pain, right? And rather than go to the GP, they were going in and chewing sulfadine tablets, not addressing what could be the underlying health problem, and maybe even then finding themselves addicted to a tablet. Is it not better to ask people and maybe risk offending the likes of yourself if it could help someone who maybe is on their own, maybe is an older person that just does not quite have as much control of, their medication taking as you do? I hope you don't think I'm trying to...
Oh, absolutely.
I hope you don't think I'm trying to sort of disagree with you, Freddie. I'm just wondering, I'm just kind of feeling that maybe they've asked people and it's led to a series of events that's got someone the medical help that they need. They have actually gone and got that. I would sit at home with a pain for 6 months rather than go to a doctor for it. I'm just wondering if I'm the type of person they're trying to help.
No, again, it all boils down. I have no reason to be offended if somebody actually informed me what they can do, because they're still going to sell them to me anyway. You understand? They are still going to sell them. If I had said to them, well, I am addicted to them, now, remember, if they actually sell me that medication, which I don't know whether it's against the law or not, after me admitting, it's more to do with the way that they approach the people rather than the actual tablets themselves. Like I say, I've been told maybe 2 years ago, I would take 2 of them tablets there maybe after a bottle of wine or 2 on a Saturday night. That's what cures that. But not to make a joke of it.
No, I don't understand that.
It's just the way that it was approached, they were actually asking me for my medical history in front of other people. Now, I say this, Freddie, you you can get addicted to these things. Yes, no problem. I already know that. Now, I'm not going to admit to you if I'm a drug addict. In all fairness, if I'm going to get them, I'm going to say no, or I understand that, and away you go.
Yeah, I get you. I know what you're saying. So, in other words, what does that question actually really achieve? Because if you were, you're not going to have. So it's not going to be sort of an intervention in front of a load of strangers at a receptionist counter. I do get your point. This caller says, Freddie, I suffer from severe headaches and also take sulfadine. You feel like a drug addict when you ask for them. Why don't they put them on prescription then if they're so dangerous? So that person actually does have a medical condition.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. Now, they're actually saying that if I was, say, addicted to them, I could go from that chemist to the next chemist to the next chemist and buy whatever I wanted. You know what I mean? It's not just that chemist. They're all going to give them to you because as far as they're concerned, it's another 10 or 12 euro in their pocket. They don't care about your condition or not, but it's the way that I was offended by the way it was approached yesterday.
Okay.
In front of other
But it's not
people.
the first time you've been offended by the questions on it, by your own evidence. Another caller says, and being slightly more sympathetic to the chemist, maybe they were asking you to see if they could recommend some alternative other than sulfadine, that if you did have...
I understand that too. But it would be a way of actually, if you're going to do that, like I say, I have no intention of anything, but they could take it to the one side rather than a big screen, and they're more or less having to raise their voice. Now, if I was going to tell them my condition, I would have went to my doctor. I wouldn't have went to a chemist for a few sulfadine.
And there's a lot of people also, if they go in to see the pharmacy lead or if they see a GP, they don't want to divulge their information to a receptionist or someone at the counter. We get that a lot. This caller says, just listening to Freddie there, I feel the receptionists at the doctors as well ask what's wrong with you before they give you an appointment. It's so annoying that they need to know your private, personal medical business. While another says, this is normal procedure in all chemists, but you're into chemists. You've been in quite a bit. It's not them informing you. You would prefer if they didn't inform you that the tablets are addictive. It's them asking you what you're taking them for, particularly in front of other people, that you take particular umbrage with, Freddie.
That's exactly what it is. Now, if they had said to me, just look, they can shout it right from the top of their voice, and as a matter of fact, I wouldn't have minded. If they had said this medication, you can get addicted to it if you take it. You don't take it for any more than 4 days. Which I understand, I can relate to that. But as far as I'm concerned, no chemist should be allowed to sell an addictive drug without a doctor's prescription. That's basically what this is all about. Now, they have, the chemists have to do their part. They were told to do this by the government. But that's exactly the point. They shouldn't have to tell the people not to take this drug because it's addictive. If it's addictive, get a doctor's prescription.
Yeah, make up your mind, one way or other. Yeah, okay.
Because I would say what you were talking about there, just about the Gardaí going out and you can go buy prescriptions or...
over-the-counter stuff, cough medicine, sulfadine, the likes of that stuff, that's being concocted then into something that creates a buzz or a high, you know?
Exactly. Well, I wish to God them tablets could give me a buzz. All I'm going to do is actually get my sore head away. But that's grand because it's my own fault.
It's self-inflicted, Freddie. You're your own worst enemy, you are.
Exactly. One bottle of wine a week and I get a headache.
Try something else. try a bottle of Guinness or something. What are you doing?
The only thing I look at is the strength in the bottle.
Okay, well, I wouldn't want to be. I'd say you could be a wee bit feisty the day after, the night before, maybe, until the tablets kick in. Listen, Freddie, I mean, I know where you're. I know exactly where you're coming from, but I also know life is short, and I wonder, is it worth your efforts going in and getting your blood pressure up and looking for a refund? But it's your choice and it's your decision and it's what you want to do.
I'm not getting sorry, Greg, I'm not getting the blood pressure.
No, not literally. You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. I would like to talk to the manager, and if they're going to train their staff, train them to deal with people like me. Now, if a young one goes in there looking for tablets, if they don't get them there, they're going to go to the next chemist. And they're going to meet somebody who's not going to even mention it.
Yeah.
But it's just, if they're going to be trained, they should be trained properly. They should be saying, this is how you deal with the public.
Okay.
As you after saying there, you ring up the doctor's surgery and they're asking you, why do you want to see the doctor? Because I'm sick. End of story. Other than that, I wouldn't be looking to see the doctor. But for them to get your medical history and them living next door to you, perhaps.
Yeah, I get you. And I understand. And it's just not that quite. A lot of people don't feel there's that, and we don't think anyone is passing on medical information, but you bump into them in the street. If you bump into your doctor, you don't mind, but if you bump into the receptionist, it can feel a little bit different. I get that. And yeah, I understand. Yeah, exactly. All right. Listen, Freddie, thanks for joining us. Hopefully you get sorted, all right?
Oh, well, don't you worry about that. Yeah, I think you get the gist of me now.
I do. All right, Freddie, take care of yourself. Nice to chat to you. Good man. All right. Another caller says the assistants are breaking the law if they don't ask those questions. But what questions? And at least maybe if there's a level of consistency there, I think, which is what Freddie's talking about, that are they, when you say by law, they have to ask the question, is an assistant by law have to ask you what you're taking your medicine for, I wonder, if it's over the counter? If you ordered eye drops or whatever it might be, is it particularly sulfurdyne? Another caller said, I had a similar experience in a pharmacy. I asked for a strong strength of an over-the-counter medicine. They actually called out the pharmacist to put me off buying it. I explained I wasn't taking them. I wanted them in the first aid kit as a precaution backup. I just dug my heels in and said, you are selling me them or not? And they did. Okay, so why stock it? Why stock it if the pharmacy is going to be called over to discourage you from purchasing it? Greg, that man is so right. It's like buying cocaine at the counter. If you ask for sulfadine, it's a disgrace the way the staff ask you in a chemist about sulfadine. That comes in from Anne-Marie. Keep your calls coming in on that to 07491 25000 or WhatsApp or text us.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard. Bringing full banking features. Delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
My family needs refreshing. So we're off to Centre Parks. Reconnecting with nature.
Reinvigorating with a cycle ride. Reviving in the subtropical swimming paradise.
Returning to our exclusive lodge. Relaxing together. Centre Parks. Family refreshed.
Do you currently have vacancies that need urgently filled? Have you tried various ways to find new staff but didn't succeed? Let Highland Radio help you source and fill your current vacancies in the most cost-effective way. Simply sign up to our new job spot and we will tell our listeners about your vacancies both on air and online. Every Monday, Wednesday and Friday during our primetime shows, we will broadcast the latest job opportunities across the Northwest and into counties Derry and Tyrone. All job listings will be available online at highlandradio.com. For more information, contact the advertising team on 07491 25322 or email advertising@highlandradio.com. Highland Radio, we're here for you.
Want to accelerate the growth of your new business? Entrepreneurs in Derry City and Strabane District Council areas can now apply for a new Startup Accelerator programme. Eligible participants can avail of free professional support, access to incubation facilities and business grants. The programme is open to businesses who are currently on or have recently completed the Go For It programme. To apply, contact your local enterprise office, Enterprise Northwest or Strabane Enterprise Agency. This project is funded by the UK Government through the UK Community Renewal Scheme.
Inflation-busting offers from Lidl help make your money go further. With products from across our incredible range, you could make your family a week's worth of delicious, nutritious meals and round it all off with a big Irish Sunday roast. That's a whole week's shop for a family of 4 for less than €76. Follow Lidl's Inflation-Busting Challenge online at hashtag Lidl Inflation Busters for further savings tips and offers. And save even more money in store with the Lidl Plus app. Inflation Busters at Lidl. More for you. Products shopped February 15th. See Lidl.ie for details.
Ireland's Queen of Country, Philomena Begley's 60 Years in Showbiz concert is coming to the Clanry Hotel Letterkenny on Friday the 4th of March with special guests Ray Lynham, Mick Flavin and Aidan Quinn. Tickets for this show to remember are on sale now from the Clanry Hotel on 9124369.
Highland Radio Time Checks, brought to you by Letterkenny Shopping Centre, the centre of shopping in Donegal. Free parking and shopping all under one roof. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at
23 minutes past 11. You're welcome back to the 9 till noon show. We welcome on to it now Eamon Jackson, chair of the Mica Action Group. A very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Hope things are well.
Yeah, indeed. Right, okay, we're talking now and putting a call out to farmers who have buildings affected by Mica to come forward. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of that, from what do you know as to the impacts of Mica on farmers and their buildings? How extensive is the problem? What kind of problems are we seeing? Because I think they've kind of kept their heads down whilst the conversation was on sort of the principal private residence, and I get that, but maybe the time now is to talk about it. So, I mean, tell us about what you're hearing from people and how they're affected.
Yeah, the time is definitely now. Farmers understand that their homes are covered within the scheme. So, everything that we're doing on the home front is covered. Michael Doherty's putting in sterling work there. And certainly at the end of this, a statue has to go up and cool duff to that man, because he's done sterling work for the cause. And the Department of Housing will look after principal private residences, rental homes, and holiday homes. But when it comes to other things, Greg, we're looking at the agri buildings, businesses who have whose buildings are affected by Mica, and also public buildings. And there's nothing within the Department of Housing and the scheme that will cover that, because the scheme itself only covers housing. So what government were more or less expecting us to do were to go to each of those relevant departments, so the Department of Agriculture, Department of Trade and Enterprise, Department of the Environment, and start the cause from scratch and literally go to them, educate their civil servants on what Mica is all about and how it's affecting farmers and how it's affecting businesses and public buildings. And ultimately that wasn't acceptable to us. And that's where we looked upon Europe as the answer to all of this, because the only place that our government can be answerable to is the European Union. And we have got to work within the European Union at different levels to try and get the government to be answer to this. So, Can
I ask where, let's just focus on farm buildings for now. And of course, it also includes the other things that you mentioned, Damon. Where does this fit, though, in the 100% Mica redress scheme, the campaign, right? This enhanced scheme. Hopefully, we're going to see significant progress on that shortly. That scheme will be put in place. Is that scheme accepted without, say, for instance, farm buildings being included? Or now are we extending the goalpost to say it's always been in there? Don't get me wrong, Eamon, but I hope you understand the question.
Yeah,
are we saying, no, actually, really, we need the farm buildings to be included before we accept this enhanced scheme? Or are they running parallel at the same time, or are they all one and the same?
Because the scheme is coming from the Department of Housing, only housing is involved in this scheme, and something has got to be done for the other three aspects that I mentioned, and that's where we're working in the background to try and get solutions for farmers and business owners and public buildings, and that's where the European Union will come into it, Greg. We've been successful on three different levels here within the European Union. Firstly, we've succeeded in getting funding and approval for an international symposium on defective blocks. And that symposium will be bringing geologists, cement experts from all over the world, as well as MEPs to the Northwest in June of this year. And it'll also bring the world's media along with it. And, anything that puts the government under a little bit of heat, we're very accepting to. The second thing, as you may have got my updates from Brussels, where the Petty Committee that we had, Joe and Anne had presented to, we were successful in moving our petitions forward to the Technical Committee and the Product Committee.
Which doesn't happen as often as people might think. That was quite a hurdle to jump.
And, to get through to two committees was quite surprising to us at the time. The Product Committee was the main one we were looking for, but to get through to the Technical Committee was quite surprising. But unfortunately, the Technical Committee at this stage has said that it's a product issue and not a technical issue. So all our eggs are in the one basket with that one. We are still in a good position, and Luke Ming and the left in Europe are helping us put a program together that will give us the most success at the Product Committee. And once we hopefully we'll get forwarded from that to the European Commission. All
right. Well, presumably there's EU money in some of these buildings. There's EU, peace funding or whatever it might be in other buildings that are now falling to bits. Are you saying, are we looking at potential revenue streams from Europe to fix these types of buildings, or is it the pressure from Europe on the Irish government and the Irish taxpayer that will burden that cost? Or are all options on the table at this point, Eamon?
It is all options on the table. I would say it's a mixture of both, Greg, because the European Union will put the Irish government under a little bit of pressure to include these other buildings, while the European Union itself, who also give a lot of a lot of grants out to farmers and to businesses, we will be looking for grants to be included within that Mica scheme so that these businesses can get back on their feet again. But I mean, the last thing to mention about the European Union, Greg, is our work with the MPs. And ultimately, the Irish MPs are responsible for the spending of EU funds within Ireland. And as you know, you've been on this journey with us. MAG was formed in January 2014. And we had our first meeting with government in April 2014. So at that point, they were officially informed of an issue with defective blocks in the county. And they should have done their due diligence, but they didn't. And, we're even still sitting here today wondering whether blocks are fit for purpose and whether the new blocks going into the new homes will be fit for purpose.
I find it remarkable that guarantee can't be given by the housing minister.
No, nobody has sent in.
Get everyone that is available for inspections to go in, be it a raid or agreed to go in and take out products, get them all tested right across the country, wherever it might be, so that we have some confidence that if you're rebuilding a micro-affected homes, that you're building it with blocks that aren't going to end up in the same situation in a number of years. That is a non-brainer. I can't understand why there hasn't been a big push in that regard.
I know, Greg. I mean, they're tightening the screws and tightening the purse strings when it comes to giving money out to Mica homeowners, but yet they haven't stopped the floodgates at the far end. Are Mica homes still being made right now, Greg?
Yeah, well, we don't know.
We don't know.
And that's the sad thing. That is a question that can... I put that question, and I've said this a couple of times, because the person ultimately responsible here is the housing minister, and I asked him if he could say with certainty that we aren't still using defective blocks to repair already broken homes, and the answer was no. I find that remarkable. I'm not sure I could stand over a department where that would be my answer in Donegal, where people are being put through the mill. Is it 100% redress, or say the farm and business community, are they saying, a significant assistance in terms of redress? Is there a stance?
The stance should be similar within Europe, Greg. The stance should be also 100%. But we're only starting off now within Europe and trying to get answers in Europe. But my feeling on it is that, as I mentioned, due diligence should have been carried out, and due diligence wasn't carried out at the time, which means that both MEPs and EU auditors will have questions of the Irish government, and those questions will have to be answered this year, Greg. And I think it's answers that we've all been looking for years that the Irish government just won't answer, and they will have to be answerable to Europe.
Yeah, well, I mean, they can be sanctioned by it, whether they're answerable or not. I think they're ultimately answerable to the people. Let us not forget that we are paying on one project alone to the EU Commission €15,000 in daily fines because of breaches, controversies. It's costing millions in fines, and that's just one project. So the EU can give us a slap on the wrist, can even punish us in the pocket, but it's the taxpayer again that ends up picking up the bill for the government not heeding the EU warnings. And I'm not in any way trying to dilute your point, Eamon. I hope you understand that. But you know, there's millions that could be fixing an awful lot of homes being paid in penalties to the EU by us right now as we speak, and that's on one ruling alone. Okay, so the next step of this European project then is a project campaign is June. Is that correct? Did I hear you correctly?
We have the symposium in June, correct? But before that, prior to that, we're actually meeting up in March. It was supposed to be meeting in Brussels in March, but because of restrictions in the European Union, we are doing it over Zoom. So you're welcome to join us from Highland on the day. And it will have those people there ready to put together a plan for the symposium that will be happening in June. So what kind of things are we looking into? What kind of solutions are we looking for? And what kind of recommendations do we feel will be coming for government on the back of the findings?
Is it time for farmers and business owners to start coming forward now, start being vocal? Do not fear that in some way this could, someone could diddle with your grants or whatever supports you might get from Europe. Is it now time for those voices to be heard more loudly and in great numbers?
Yes, definitely, Greg, because, you know, the people are on the streets now. When a scheme comes through that people are happy with, well, then people won't be on the streets anymore, and farmers will be left out by themselves. While people are on the streets right now is the time to start shouting and getting your voice heard. And ultimately, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a couple of examples of farmers with agricultural buildings that are collapsing, businesses that are suffering with Mica in their warehouses. And if those buildings were paid for by EU funding, I want to hear from them. And, you know, these are the examples. All we need is 2 or 3. And I know they've been politely standing back, and that's okay, because homeowners have always been the priority. But now's the time to stand up, and we are working for you in the background. And we feel that we can get something done right now because MEPs are alive to this issue.
All right, listen, Eamon, thanks very much indeed. I appreciate it. Eamon Jackson there, chair of the Mica Action Group. He wants farmers to come forward in relation to their properties having Mica with a view to going to Europe, as many of them were built, of course, with EU grants. And the weather, the storm brought the private homes back into the conversation as well. And we were scheduled to chat to Eamon on that as well. So there's been a lot on Mica this week. It's only Tuesday on the programme. Why should the taxpayer have to pay for the Mica problem? Should it not be the product supplier? And as for farmers, I think they get enough handouts. Regards, an angry taxpayer. Opened my back door 3 times, hearing a dog bark, thinking it was outside, only to discover the barking is on the radio. Oh yes, that's okay. I thought that was some sort of a slight at me or Eamon. I was listening to the dog bark in the background as well and was wondering where that was coming from. All right. Caller says the only, quoting Eamon there, the only place the government is answerable to is the European Union. No, says this listener. The government is answerable to the people. Hi, Greg. I'm almost afraid to ring my doctors now. The reception staff interrogate why I'm ringing, saying, is it urgent? How do you define urgent? They've no understanding what the patient could be going through. And from my experience, they are no way sympathetic and very abrupt. And that's in that one person's experience. Another caller says, though, I'm a doctor's secretary and we never ask anyone that calls what's wrong with them. And any secretary that does is being nosy. That's between the doctor and the patients. But look, Caroline, it is the case, isn't it, that patients are being triaged by people that the secretary's hospital. So that secretary clearly, no secretaries are being nosy. They're being asked by the person who employs them to try and put people in order. So the urgent cases are seen, the less urgent cases are seen later. So I don't think anyone is taking it on themselves, a solo run, to be nosy. What's wrong with you? So it depends from surgery to surgery, okay? And we understand that. Maybe you don't mind. Do you mind or do you understand? Because I think, obviously, understandably, those that are most offended might be most inclined to get the phone out and text us. And we really appreciate it, and it's important. And so many issues are highlighted and resolved through your texts and calls. But maybe you're out there and you're calling your GP, and you don't mind the secretary asking questions and you understand why that's happening. Text us that in as well so that we get a full sense of the picture, please. And people listening feel they're getting a more rounded and balanced discussion. So if you think you understand it, you don't mind it, maybe you think it's been an improvement. Look, hey, ringing up to get a prescription renewed and it being sent straight to the pharmacy and all that that's a great thing. Keep that. Maybe you actually don't mind speaking to the secretary. Maybe you're getting seen more quickly that way if it's a more urgent situation. It may or may not be the case, but I want to hear your views.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Mortgages now available with a personalised service from your local and friendly credit union. Email mortgage@letterkennycu.ie.
Central Auto Parts really do stock everything for all makes and models of cars. Shocks, springs, wipers, mats, brakes. Need I go on? And now stocking Celimix and Sunny Car and Commercial Paint. Central Auto Parts, Portlink Road Business Park, Letterkenny. Find us on Facebook or call us on 074 9127 491.
Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure has everything you need to gear up for the GAA season this year. Get your hands on the brand new Donegal GAA home jersey, available in men's, ladies and kids, or gear up the whole family for pre-season and match days with the new Harlem range of sweaters, leggings and snoods at michaelmurphysports.ie.
In harsh winter weather, Watson Hire have all you need to stay safe and keep warm. There's great deals on coal, Calor gas, firewood and heating oil with free local delivery. Also electric, fan, halogen and oil-filled heaters. See in-store and the fuel store at watsonhire.ie. Great offers on winter clothing and boots. And for any hire items, there's still the weekend hire deal of 3 days for the price of one. All at Watson Hire, Kiltoy, Letterkenny, with free parking at the door.
Looking for an easier way to get your prescriptions filled? Look no further. With our new Brennan's Pharmacy app, you have a simpler, faster way to manage your prescription orders. Just download the free Brennan's Pharmacy app from Google Play or App Store, fill in a few simple details about yourself and your medicines, and you're all set. From prescription ordering, daily medicine reminders, to messaging our pharmacy team directly, it's all at your fingertips with our new Brennan's app. Like to know more? Why not call your local Brennan's Pharmacy today for more information? We're here for you.
Experience contemporary elegance and style at the newly refurbished Radisson Blu Hotel, Letterkenny. Wine and dine in the Mulberry Restaurant, open daily from 12. Now taking bookings for all those moments missed and upcoming special occasions and events, including birthday parties and anniversaries. Contact the Radisson Blu team today.
And you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Greg, they should have asked to take him aside and talk privately. That's the situation in that chemist. Some pharmacy assistants seem to be deaf, says another. As they have to announce, ask everything at the top of their voices. No discretion exercised. Okay. If over-the-counter medicine is so addictive and dangerous, surely there should be some method of keeping track as to who is buying what and how often it's being bought. If I have a prescription, the pharmacist will have a full list of whatever I got from them. And if it can't be monitored, then it seems to stop being an over-the-counter medicine. If it's as dangerous as it obviously is being treated, then maybe just make it prescription. You heard that from Freddie yourself. Now, Professor of Politics at Dublin University is Professor Donncha O'Bachoin. He joins us on the programme now. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
It's very good to have you with us. Right, now, you lecture on post-Soviet politics, unrecognised states, Irish studies and foreign policy. So you're right across this, Professor. Now, we heard Russian President Vladimir Putin last night order the deployment of troops to 2 breakaway regions in eastern Ukraine after recognising them as independent, accelerating a crisis the West fears could unleash a major war. Professor, he called these, peacekeepers. Clearly, you don't send peacekeepers in to attack helicopters and in tanks. Has the invasion of Ukraine then, at least on paper, already begun?
Well, yes, it has, but it's really important to emphasize that this is 8 years into an invasion and occupation. We've been here before in 2014 when Vladimir Putin, right up until the end, said that he wasn't going to annex Crimea and he wasn't going to do anything in Donetsk and Luhansk, and he moved his troops there. So in a way, we're not in a completely new place. This is the latest chapter in an ongoing saga, which goes back, as Vladimir Putin's speech yesterday illustrated, goes back decades, indeed centuries. I mean, what we learned from Vladimir Putin last night is that he has a vision of where Russia should be in the world, and his borders are ambiguous because his ideal state in the past is essentially the Russian Empire in terms of borders. And the Russian Empire, of course, included much of present-day Ukraine, but also Poland and Finland and Latvia and Estonia and so many other countries. And this is the problem with Vladimir Putin at the moment, is that we don't know what his end game is. He keeps us guessing. Of course, nobody was really looking at Donetsk and Luhansk. Everybody was focusing on NATO enlargement. That was the big thing that he was emphasizing. And even now, we're not sure what his next step is.
Is that by accident or design, do you think?
Oh, I think that strategic ambiguity is definitely by design. I mean, like, so for example, if you take the current situation, he says he recognizes the People's Republics of Donetsk and Luhansk, but he hasn't defined the territories of those. Those territories themselves, or rather the people, the proxies who are in charge, they define it as the entire region. Now, at the moment, they've only got control of about a third of each of those regions of Donetsk and Luhansk. So is he recognizing what they currently hold, or is he recognizing what they actually claim? If he's recognizing what they claim, then we're in for a big war.
Yeah, and we got a better indication of his mood hearing directly from him yesterday. Yes, he mentioned the two areas you already mentioned, but also really, saying Ukraine is not really a legitimate state. So was he flagging his intentions then to reclaim what he obviously believes is rightfully Russia's?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you don't recognize a Ukrainian people, how can a Ukrainian people exercise a right to self-determination, either politically or geopolitically? And that's been at the heart of this. It's ironic that he accuses very tongue-in-cheek Ukrainians of genocide against the peoples living in Donetsk and Luhansk, when he himself doesn't even recognize there's a separate Ukrainian people. He has killed them off in all senses of the word. So it's a pattern of aggression which has been ongoing, not of course exclusively at Ukraine. And as I said, it's deliberately designed to create a state of permanent duress on Ukraine as a people. Ukraine is now the front line, really. I mean, I'm certainly old enough to remember the Cold War. We remember the Iron Curtain. We remember when the Hungarians and the Czechs and the Poles rose up against the Kremlin in their time, and there was nothing the West could effectively do to help them because they were behind the Iron Curtain. Putin is sending a message now saying that Ukraine is part of its sphere of influence, and that if the West wants to take on Russia on this issue, it's at its peril, because Russia really cares about Ukraine. It's not quite as clear that the West has a similar preoccupation with the future of that country.
But, depending on where you read it, there seems to be not much of an appetite, at least between younger generations, amongst younger generations in Russia for this type of activity. Of course, there is going to be very severe sanctions against Russia. Where does this go? Where does this end then? I mean, because obviously Vladimir Putin has to sell this to the Russian people as well.
Well, he doesn't really. He's a dictator, so he doesn't. He didn't face an election.
Right, okay, true. Yes, I understand.
And that's why he's been so effective against the EU and NATO, for example. The EU, for all its faults, is hyper-democratic, hyper-decentralized. It's 27 different nation states who are trying to negotiate common positions, and that's why you always get the lowest common denominator. Whereas the Kremlin, as a hyper-centralized dictatorship, can act very decisively, very quickly, and then diplomacy has to scramble to catch up. And that's what you're seeing today. You're seeing diplomacy now going, as we go forward, trying to catch up. I wouldn't be too optimistic about sanctions, because Putin has made it clear that he has absorbed the sanctions that are already there since 2014. He has made provision for any sanctions that are intended. He's been cozying up, as you know, to China recently, and now trying to sell them gas as an alternative to Europe in the medium term. So he has thought this through. It is a game like chess, indeed, and you might be familiar with the work of Garry Kasparov, a grand chess master in his day, Soviet chess master, and he was often asked about the similarities between Putin and playing chess, and he said, well, it's somewhat different, because in chess the rules are predictable, but the outcome is uncertain. But it's the opposite with Putin's Russia. The rules are unpredictable, but the outcome is always certain, and that's that he will always be in power for as long as he wants to be in Russia. And that's you think of it. When Putin came to power, Bill Clinton was president. That's how long ago we're talking about. Bertie Ahern was Taoiseach in his first term. This man has now defined his nation, this generation, and he's very much looking to cement his legacy as the man who re-established Russia, who re-established Russia's place in the world. However, I think it's really important to contextualize this. Russia today is not the Soviet Union. Russia's economy, its GNP, is smaller than that of Italy's. It's smaller than that of France. Its population is substantially smaller than Nigeria. Where he gets his strength, and we see it very much in the here and now, is his willingness to use force and to commit troops to areas where, as I said, the West doesn't consider to be part of their strategic priorities.
Right, okay. Now, a lot of people will get into the ins and outs of it, but an awful lot of people too will be, and maybe the people you talk of, of a certain age that remember the Cold War, remember when we were on the brink, because you'll see lots of people post on social media, we're on the brink of a third world war here. So people that aren't sort of focusing on the ins and outs of it, but just worry about what consequence it might have. I mean, how could this escalate? Could it escalate into a bigger war situation, even a world war? What do you think? Are we far more likely maybe then to feel the implications in our pockets in terms of, the cost of energy and what have you? So for your average Joe out there and Josephine, what are the implications, or what potentially could be the implications? How serious could this get?
Well, for Irish people, if that's what you mean, I mean, we're talking about, probably higher energy bills if this goes into the energy sector, which it might do. We're not looking at a third world war for the simple reason that Western powers, at least with military resources that have in the past committed those military resources, have made it clear they will not send troops to Ukraine. Ukraine is very much on its own here. What the Ukrainians have tried to do is that they've tried to say that they're much better prepared now than they were in 2014, and that's true. They have better weaponry, they are better trained, and that's why it's unlikely, it's never impossible, you never know with Vladimir Putin, but it's unlikely that Putin is envisaging a military takeover of Ukraine, because Ukraine is more than 40 million people. This would be going against every precedent in Putin's playbook when it comes to war. His previous wars, Chechnya, Georgia, Crimea, they've always been short, winnable and popular at home. A full-scale invasion of Ukraine would be none of those things. It would be costly, it would be expensive, it would lead to lots of lives being lost, and it would be domestically unpopular. Even in a dictatorship, sometimes you have to please the people in some respects, and it would be, it could lead to the end of the regime, in the way that sometimes wars bring down dictatorships, as we saw with Argentina in 1982 when they tried to retake the Falklands. So he has a history of not biting off more than he can chew. That's why this particular move is consolidating what he has, and there might be modest expansions, but I wouldn't expect, as I said, a full takeover and therefore a full-scale world war. Just by the way, on a point on the world war aspect, Ukraine used to have nuclear weapons. It inherited a huge nuclear stockpile, the third largest in the world in the early 1990s, and they gave them up in return for security guarantees from Russia and the United States, the United Kingdom. So in a way, had they kept those nuclear weapons, we would be back to that kind of situation where they wouldn't be at war, they wouldn't be in a conflict because they wouldn't be attacked. And that comes back to, I guess, the primacy of that old Cold War maxim that, if you have nuclear weapons, you're very unlikely to be attacked. And that's why, of course, Russia's not under threat as well. And Russia has made an entire narrative out of being insecure because of NATO expansion. But no country, and certainly not Ukraine, is ever going to attack Russia.
Well, that's endgame if something like that would happen. Well, that's probably slightly more dramatic, but you'll get where I'm coming from. I really appreciate your expertise and your time this morning. Thank you very much.
Not at all, Greg.
Take care. Bye-bye. That's Professor Donncha O'Bachoin there, who is a professor of politics at Dublin City University Hospital. I'm obsessed at this point. Hopefully, as I said, interesting to speak to him to find out what's going on too, but also to get what I find interesting from people who know is like what is the likely outcome. So I think what he's saying is that Vladimir will consolidate his position in those two eastern sections of Ukraine, and that'll be it, that he won't go any further than that. Because you also have to remember there's an information war going on here, and this is not sort of conspiracy theory stuff or what have you, but, no less than Russia is feeding its people a narrative, and it's saying shells are being fired into Russia from Ukraine, and to win over the minds of people, to do the action he is and to have the sport in doing so. You can be sure that the same thing is happening here. You know what I mean? We're getting news with a certain angle. And listen, maybe it's an absolute coincidence. Maybe this is a complete and utter coincidence. But yesterday on social media, as it relates to the Mica situation, there was a massive outpouring of sympathy for Mica families because of Storm Franklin. And then randomly, just a couple of articles appeared in the national papers quoting the government, completely separate as far as I could see, and I'm open to correction, completely separate from the conversation that was happening about how the turmoil of these families. But randomly, I come across two articles published yesterday in national papers that were just talking about how great the scheme was and how it was built on really strong foundations. And I was thinking, wow, that is a real coincidental bit of timing there. Anyway, approach everything with caution, with an open mind, but just be aware of what the information we're being given and why.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
70, 70, 70, 70, 70, 70, 70. Shoot, shoot! Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring up to 70% off sale is now on. Everything's reduced. All tiles, all bathware, all wood flooring. Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring, 70% off sale is leaving the station. Sale now on. Shoot, shoot!
Smith's Daleside offer a range of coarse and pelleted feed, including premium munchie ranges for lambs, designed to entice the lamb senses, increasing intakes and maximising performance. Call Smith's Daleside on 074 91 71 300.
Donegal Hearing Clinic, now open at Pierce Road, Letterkenny and Buncrana, now offering state-of-the-art rechargeable hearing aids free with your PRSI. Also pain-free microsuction wax removal services. Call 074 91 88470 or donegalhearingclinic.ie. Life sounds brilliant with Donegal Hearing Clinic.
You are 4 times more likely to be involved in a collision if you use a mobile phone while driving. The penalty for using a mobile phone while driving is an automatic 3 points on your licence and a €60 fine. This includes holding a phone in your hand or supporting it with another part of your body when you are driving. Mobile distraction can impair your judgment and reaction time. You're mobile. It won't kill you to put it away. From the Road Safety Authority and on Garda Síochána. Visit rsa.ie.
Is the appearance of your staff important to your business? It's the first point of contact for customers when entering your premises. At C&M Embroidery in Letterkenny, they have a huge range of clothing covering all areas of the workplace. It's widely known that customers warm to and trust employees that present themselves well. Have your company name embroidered or printed on all your work uniforms. Contact C&M Embroidery on 07491 28097 and get your staff looking their best.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Discover Edinburgh this summer with Ryanair's 3 times weekly service. Stunning architecture, endless winding streets and an awe-inspiring castle. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
Okay, scattered showers and sunny spells with the chance of sleet on high grounds across the region. Drier and brighter conditions will follow in the evening with those blustery westerly winds gradually easing. A chilly day with afternoon temperatures of 8 to 10 degrees. And that's thankfully a lot of us, albeit as we've been talking about, some of them crumbling. A lot of us do have the sanctuary of a home. Many of us don't. Homelessness is still a significant issue in this country. One person working very hard to help those is Don McGuinness. He joins us now. Hi, Don.
How's it going? Good morning.
I am doing good, thank you. Now, we don't have an awful lot of time, so I might return to this with you where we can talk a bit more. But you are making an appeal, and specifically for sleeping bags at the moment. Tell us the need.
Well, I'll tell you what, I volunteer with a group in Dublin called Feed Our Homeless. They're a registered charity, and they work with they've outreach centres, and they work with, with rough sleepers at night. And this is the first time in the 4-year history of the charity that they've actually ran out of sleeping bags. They have no sleeping bags at all.
And is this because of the amount of rough sleepers or a shortage of bags, or a combination of both, Don?
I think it's a combination of both. Sleeping bags are very hard to get at the moment because, whether it's because of the transport costs or what, they just don't seem to be coming in. But they can still be purchased, in shops. And I am heading down on Saturday morning, hopefully with about 50 sleeping bags. It's not an awful lot, but it'll alleviate the problem a wee bit. And if people would like to help me out, they can either just buy a sleeping bag and drop it off to me at my address, 19 Cranavie, Buncrana, or give me a ring on 085 1518 221. Or another way they can actually buy a sleeping bag online and post it directly get it delivered directly to the charity.
Mm-hmm. Now, Don, a lot of people might listening, maybe they went to a summer festival, had sleeping bags, never used them since. Do they have to be of a certain grade, or any sleeping bags would be welcome, Don?
We're accepting all sleeping bags at the moment. They don't have to be new. People have bags, sleeping bags lying that haven't been camping for a couple of years.
Yeah.
they're acceptable. You know, the used sleeping bags are quite good.
Okay.
You know, we'll accept any sleeping bags at all.
Okay, Don, and I'll mention it a few more times before Saturday on this programme and on the social media as well, so that you head down on Saturday with a good load of bags from us here in Donegal. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I wish I had more time, Don, but I'd love to speak to you again in the future over a longer period, if that's okay.
That's no problem at all. Because just a wee quick word. I will also be taking stuff down just before Easter, so maybe I can make it on with you and chat about that more.
Guaranteed, 100% will be a big push on that one. Is that all right, Don?
That's brilliant.
Good man. Take care of yourself. If you've sleeping bags, get in touch with us. We'll pass on those details Don gave. Back tomorrow morning at 9. Stay tuned.